flirt with Trump and still win in the suburbs. That's a new development for us. Scott?
I'm sorry, I just have to totally disagree with virtually everything you just said. I'll tell you why. Because Democrats, since January the 6th, really since Donald Trump got elected, but let's go back to January the 6th, have demanded, asked for, begged for, pleaded for Republican candidates who would not do what you just said, which is, embrace Trumpism and sort of run the kinds of races and style that he runs. Youngkin has rejected it. He has said it was wrong. He wasn't part of it. Donald Trump hasn't been in Virginia campaigning for him. In fact, there is a pent-up demand, in my opinion, to make America boring again with standard issue, run-of-the-mill conservative Republican candidates like Glenn Youngkin and like the candidates who did well down ballot in 2020. So a Republican comes along and does exactly what everybody says they want, which is, hey, let's have Republicans who don't act like Donald Trump. Then you still beat them about the head and neck and claim they are Donald Trump. And then Joe Biden takes it a step further and says, hey, watch out, people wearing sweater vests or white supremacists. Have you been in Virginia in October? Everyone's wearing fleece vests. This kind of beating up Republicans over Donald Trump is not going to work. That's why this race is so close. Youngkin's on the issues. Democrats.
If he wins tonight, it certainly sends a message to a lot of Democrats out there tonight. We're going to take a quick break. We're nearing the top of the hour. Stay with us for the first results in the Virginia governor's race. That could set the tone for midterms and beyond.
Hello to the viewers and the replay viewers. If I leave the replay up.
Certified turbocharger, suspension and fuel injection.
Translation: certified goosebumps. Certified from headlamp to tailpipe. That's certified head turns.
MSNBC, Steve Kornacki, what is he doing? Election night 2021. Why is there no sound on that? It says decision 2021. Huh. Maybe he does. Maybe he's not talking yet. All right. Paul Green is premiering his Math Doesn't Suck with Danica McKellar on The Grass is Greener. That's on Facebook. I'm going to like that and share it, but I'm not going to. I sound like I'm losing my voice again. I took my allergy medicine. I'm going to share the premiere. Let's see. I'll share it to my Harvard Journal page too. Let's go back for 1 second. Is CNN still in a commercial? I had that guy, what's his name? Lookner on YouTube. I had his page up too, muted. I think it's still on. Let me see if where's that page? He says the polls close in 7 minutes and 55 seconds. An anti-Biden slogan that originated at an Alabama NASCAR race is being engraved on weapon parts and magazines by gun dealers. What?
Will they kill me, do you think? Spencer, rated R, in theaters November 5th. It's a good day to start something new. To brush away gray in 5 easy minutes. To put yourself out there and always put your best face forward. Just for men, mustache, and beard.
Yeah, I'm not going to repeat the phrase that they're using.
Our retirement plan with Voya keeps me moving forward, even after paying for this. Love you, sweetheart.
CDC advisors to recommend giving COVID.
This is my granddaughter. She's cute like her grandpa.
I'm sure it says vaccines. Vaccine to kids ages 5 to 11. Elon Musk is now 3 times as rich as Warren Buffett and worth more than the GDP of his home country of South Africa. What?
This is a coup attempt encouraged by a sitting American president. These are the Republicans who dared to stop.
Shakira says she accidentally turned her hair black after dyeing it the night before her Super Bowl performance.
Trumping democracy. Friday at 9. Everything you see me do.
Did you see the red nose lit over Portland already? If you thought it was too early, you were right. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, and that's a mistake. On Tuesday morning, K2's Mike Warner shared a photo on Twitter of the famed Portland, Oregon neon sign in Old Town Chinatown where the white stag reindeer's nose was glowing bright red. The red nose, however, isn't traditionally lit until the day before Thanksgiving.
My reputation was trashed.
Let's share that
I
one.
felt completely helpless. My entire career and business were in jeopardy. I called Reputation Defender.
Take control of your online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com.
Is it going to let me share that to my blog page too? Doesn't look like it.
They were able to restore my good name.
Huh.
Visit reputationdefender.com or call 1-877-866-8485.
All right. I never did check in on 2 of my farms yet today, or my Odd Sox game on Facebook. Let's see. Let's see if we can do both. Woof Woof's here, Bear's here, and Bo's here. Oh, and Sweet Potato's here. They'll say hi. It was Woof Woof's birthday. He's 5 now.
Is running to win back his old job and keep that office in Democratic control. He is in a very competitive matchup with first-time Republican candidate Glenn Youngkin. This contest, of course, has significant national implications and could offer a roadmap for the midterms next year and the 2024 presidential election. Beyond that, also tonight, Virginia is about to get its first woman and its
I'm going to put this on my conference page.
We're awaiting results from the race between Democrat Hala Ayala and Republican Winsome Sears as we count down the first votes. Let's go to Sarah Murray at the Virginia Department of Elections in Richmond. Sarah, what are you hearing from election officials in terms of turnout?
Well, Jake, we are waiting to get a briefing on that pretty soon now. We are expecting to hear from them, how they think turnout is going. And of course, if there have been any hiccups throughout the day that they think impacted voting or they think could impact counting later. As of earlier today, everything was running smoothly. There was, a jammed machine in one place. There was a minor power outage in another, but they were expecting, hoping things will go smoothly today. If there is any change to that, we will know soon.
All right, Sarah Murray in Richmond. Let's go now to Borah Sanchez. He's in Manassas, Virginia, which is in Prince William County, one of the northern Virginia counties. Boris, tell us what you're learning there.
Yeah, Jake, polls have yet to close here in Prince William County, just a few minutes away from closing, but already the 2021 gubernatorial race has exceeded expectations, surpassing the last gubernatorial race in Virginia by nearly 20,000 votes. Officials here at headquarters in Prince William County are expecting results as early as 7:15 p.m., where a batch of mail-in ballots that they've been tabulating for the last few weeks are likely to be posted. We'll keep you updated with the very latest information as we get it, Jake.
All right. Borah Sanchez in Manassas, Virginia. Let's go to Pamela Brown now, who's at our voting desk. And Pamela, you're taking a closer look at how the votes will be reported this evening. Tell us more.
Right. I am, Jake. As of this morning, more than 88,000 absentee by mail ballots still had not been returned. They have to be postmarked by today, arrive by Friday to be counted. Let's look at Fairfax County. That is the state's most populous county. That county
Is that link not going to work?
First, in Fairfax, nearly 165,000 pre-election day ballots were cast. As of Monday, 55,000 by mail compared to roughly 110,000 in person. Let's go to Chesterfield County. That is a swing county right near Richmond, the state's capital. It plans to start counting election day ballots first. Also in Chesterfield, 67,000 pre-election day ballots were cast, nearly 14,000 by mail and 53,000 in person. And then let's take a look now at Richmond, where it plans to count ballots as they are ready. In Richmond, nearly 27,000 pre-election ballots were cast, 6,000 by mail and 20,000 in person. We should note typically early votes largely favor Democrats, but there in Virginia, both candidates put an emphasis on early voting.
Why isn't this working?
Pamela Brown, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Maybe I'll turn off the Wi-Fi.
Right now, John, tell us what you're looking for right now. Well, pretty soon we get to count the votes.
Add a description.
Speculation is over now. We get to count votes. What are we looking for? This is the map of 2021. Obviously, it'll start to fill in soon. If you go back to the 2020 presidential map, a big blowout for Joe Biden. That is Glenn Youngkin's challenge. Democrats have been trending stronger and stronger in Virginia over the last 10 or 15 years. The last Republican win was in 2009. This
Wolf,
was the last
do you
race
want to
for
join the
Congress,
stream?
in 2017.
Let's
So what does
check,
Youngkin
make
have
sure
to
it
do?
works
He has to run it up out here. This rural red Trump Republican base has to run it up. But
on
here's
the
big
conference
challenge. Trump
app.
is toxic for
Enter.
Republicans in Virginia and everywhere in the suburbs. The population centers of Virginia are in the suburbs here, and overwhelmingly in the suburbs here. And that is the big Youngkin challenge. Can he, Jake, reverse what has been a dramatic decline, a rout for Republicans in the suburbs? Run it up rural, compete in the suburbs. That's the challenge for the Republicans. All right, John King, thank you.
Maybe
so
I'll
much.
turn the
Polling
Wi-Fi
places are
back
closing
on.
in
It's not.
Virginia, home to the marquee contest tonight. The outcome of the Virginia governor's race could give
What?
us a gauge of the political
It
headline.
isn't working.
We have a key race alert for you right now. Right now, the polls are closed. It is too early to call the Virginia governor's race between Democrat Terry McAuliffe and Republican Glenn Youngkin. We are awaiting the first vote in
Enter.
this high-profile contest. We can now share more information from our exit polls, though, now that the polls are actually closed. Let's go to David Tallien with that. David.
Yeah, Jake, now we can take a look at how voters are splitting between McAuliffe and Youngkin now that the polls have closed in some key demographic groups. Let's look at young voters, 18 to 29-year-olds. It's key to note they make up about 10% of the electorate in today's race. That is about
I'm going to
half
reopen the
the
app.
share that they were just a year ago. They made up 20% of the electorate in 2020. Smaller group, and look at this. McAuliffe is
Am
only
I still on the leaderboard?
by 7 points, 53%.
Number 10.
Youngkin, 46%. You would say, hey, that's good. Except Joe Biden won young voters a year ago by 29 points. So Glenn Youngkin making up some ground there with young voters. Let's look at the other end of the age spectrum, 65 and older. You see, Youngkin here has 53% of them. McAuliffe, 47%. They make up about a quarter of the electorate.
Why isn't
and
this
they're
link
a much bigger
working?
size than they were just a year ago.
I'm going to put it in the
This
chat.
electorate is older, and Youngkin is winning them by 6 points. White college-educated voters. This has been part of the story of the Trump era of politics, where Democrats have made real inroads into white college-educated voters. Right now, you see McAuliffe is winning 52% of them. Youngkin, 48%. They make up about 38% of the electorate. White non-college voters, huge Youngkin territory, right? 76%. You'd expect to see
that
this.
works. Why doesn't the original link work?
McAuliffe, 24%. That is
How do I edit
36%
it?
of the overall electorate right there, and that's a big Youngkin group. He's winning them by much bigger than McAuliffe is narrowly ahead.
Let me add the
college-educated
www to it.
voters. Among Latino voters, McAuliffe, 69%, Youngkin, 30%, and they make up about 5% of the electorate in Virginia today. And finally, independents. We're going to watch how independents are doing all the time, but right now, Youngkin is winning independents 52% to 47% for McAuliffe. That's 30% of the electorate independents. Joe Biden was winning independents by a big margin just a year ago. Now, Youngkin is ahead here of McAuliffe among independents by 5 points. Keep your eye on this demographic throughout the night.
All right, David Tallien, thanks so much. Let's talk about this with Dana and Nia Malika. So, again, this is just exit poll information. We're waiting for the actual results. But if you were Terry McAuliffe or Glenn Youngkin watching this exit poll information come in, you would say the electorate is whiter than it was last year. The electorate is older than it was last year. Joe Biden won young people by a lot more than Terry McAuliffe is winning them. Joe Biden won independent voters. Terry McAuliffe is losing them. I would rather be sitting in that moment and be Glenn Youngkin than Terry McAuliffe.
Yes, exactly. But what is really remarkable about this night, especially Virginia, which is where we're focused, is we don't know. It is a toss-up.
Right.
And the fact that it is a toss-up, people are looking at it saying, well, Joe Biden won by 10 points 1 year ago. That is true. It has been trending Democrat. That is also true. On the other side of that, the history of Virginia is such that when Terry McAuliffe won his one term back in 2013, he was making history because the trend or the way that Virginia usually goes is they
Still
usually
won't
elect
work.
a governor in the opposite party of who was in the White House. So that is why we really don't know.
Let me try it another
why
way.
we really don't know. But more importantly, where the
HTTPS
Yeah, and what kind of
:
ground campaigns had and how effective they have been, right? The door knocking campaigns. I mean, we always talk about turnout is key. Well, guess what? It is key. And we
really don't know what the composition of this electorate is going to look like at the end.
Let's try
We
that.
have something of a hint, and from the looks of it, Youngkin might feel a little better. He certainly had momentum going in, but Democrats also feel pretty good as well about where they will end up at the end of this night. So that's what's so exciting. We just don't know.
And let's check in again with David Chalian, who has more information from the exit poll. David, what else are you learning?
Now we're digging in, Jake, to the education issue that we have discussed so much. That's been sort of at the center of this race in Virginia for the last several weeks. So among parents, people who tell us that they have children under the age of 18 at home, Youngkin is edging ahead in these exit polls with 51% of them, McAuliffe at 49%. I also want to look at those who say education is the most important issue. Now, remember, it didn't rank as high as the economy and jobs, but it was up there as an important issue for voters in this race. If education is the most important issue, Youngkin is winning a majority of education voters, 56% to McAuliffe, 44%. That's a Republican taking away what is traditionally a Democratic issue and making it his at this moment in these exit poll results. And then, of course, that whole issue about whether parents should have a say in their child's education, we saw a majority of Virginians, some 53% of the electorate, believe that. That's how they're splitting. Youngkin gets 76% of them, McAuliffe 24%. This is the report card on that gaffe that McAuliffe made at that debate at the end of September. Youngkin's winning 3/4 of the voters who say parents should have a say in what's going on in their kids' schools. Okay?
All right, David Chalian, very interesting. And Glenn Youngkin, Dan and Nia Malika, Glenn Youngkin has been seizing on the education issue, which is a very significant issue. One of the things that's been going on in Virginia in the last year and a half is obviously, as has been going on across the country and around the world, is that in-person education schools stopped. And then there was a lot of frustration among a lot of parents, not just conservative parents, independent parents, liberal parents, about schools being reluctant to reopen, about teachers wanting to
Oh,
get
yes, Wolf, I'll let you sign on.
which they did, and I have a problem with that. But then not agreeing necessarily to in-person education, even though they were vaccinated. A lot of frustration, and Glenn Youngkin may have given them an outlet for that.
Absolutely. This is such an animating issue in this campaign. And when was the last time we saw education as such a front burner issue for the electorate? But you're exactly right. The reason, full stop, is because of the pandemic, because of parent frustration, no matter what their political affiliation is. And he saw that, and he played on that. He took it a step further,
Sure,
Glenn Youngkin, in that he played into the culture wars. But that is an example of how he's trying to appeal to independents, appeal to people who are, generally speaking, frustrated and just looking for an outlet for that, but also giving a little drop to the Trump base, the GOP base, who like to hear, get some red meat. Unclear how much that's going to win, because he has to overcome the reality that Democrats have a much bigger and much more real structural advantage.
And then there was this fear of critical race theory. And you hear Republicans all across the country
explain what that is.
talking
A lot of people
about
know
this.
it's not.
Well, it's this legal theory developed by Derek Bell and Kimberly Crenshaw that essentially says institutions in this country were informed by racism, right? It isn't about your kid going to school if it's a white kid feeling guilty for slavery. But it has certainly become a boogeyman for Republicans, and this idea that folks are being taught in elementary school about white people being racist. So that has become a real talking point among conservatives. And
No, it's not part of Virginia curriculum.
It's not part of Virginia curriculum. It's not really part of any curriculum in like K through 12. But it has worked to scare a lot of white parents. You know, there was all this talk about the Pulitzer Prize winning novel Beloved by Toni Morrison being taught in school. So the Democrats I talked to have said they feel like.
Let's check the trend. I'm going to check Wolf for you. Let me check the trending board first.
Criticism coming from Republicans that it's just rampant in schools all over the country. So that's going to be something I think you're going to see a lot of Democrats do focus groups on. How do you actually answer that?
Jerry McAuliffe called it a racist dog whistle. Full stop.
Well, we should also note that during the debate, Terry McAuliffe, and it was about whether or not parents
Number
should have
6
a
on
right
the trending
subject,
board.
to take books off the shelves in schools.
Not bad,
And he
huh?
said that parents
All right,
shouldn't.
Wolf. I'm
But
gonna
the
go.
way he said
I'm
it,
gonna
it
check.
sounded like he was
Like,
saying parents should
yes,
have
you
no
can check your
involvement,
account.
in schools education. A huge gaffe by him that Glenn Youngkin used over and over and over. That's even why the question, split among voters who think parents should have a lot of say in what their child's school teaches, 76% say they voted for Youngkin. We're going to expect the first votes.
But they don't even teach critical race theory in the schools.
On the ground to bring you results as well back in a moment.
That password looked way too long.
A retirement plan with Boya keeps us moving forward.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, guys. They have customized solutions to help our family's special needs, giving us confidence in our future.
And in Kevin's.
Boya. Well planned, well invested, well protected.
I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi. Is it going to keep the CNN feed if I turn off the Wi-Fi? It should go into CNN Go.
Right now. Yeah, right.
Seriously.
With Car Gurus,
Although NBC Go doesn't work for some reason anymore.
even shop great deals from cars that can be delivered right to your family.
All right, here, Wolf, let's check your account.
We have one. Driveway would be better.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
We're gonna get out of your hair.
Wait, where did the feed just go? Wolf, do you want to broadcast yourself or do you want to broadcast with me? Because you can try and get your 10 followers that you still need. Let's see. Commercial break in progress. CNN Go will resume momentarily. Because we're going to look at Wolf's account. It's not loading. Facebook is open. Hoova is open. Let me try it without. I need a new battery for this phone, and I have to change because T-Mobile was bought Sprint. And I don't know if this phone's going to work anymore after January 1st. I know I have to put a SIM card in it, but I don't know if the phone itself is going to work. All right, Wolf, we're going to open your account again. You got 50 coins, Wolf. What do you want to do with them? You want to send them to my broadcast and then join the broadcast? I hear an echo. How many did I say? You want to send a 100 ward? A 1 heart? You want to send anything else? I don't think there are any other 100 awards. You can send one again tomorrow. All right. How do you... It keeps stopping the CNN feed that's still on a commercial. Let me unpause that. Do you want to say hello from Portland and join the broadcast, Wolf? All right. Yes, it was your birthday on Friday and you're patiently waiting for a cake. I know. I mean Saturday. Wolf is 5 now. Hello from Portland. That's missing an L. With a rose because it's the city of roses. All right. Send. All right. What else? CNN Go. Commercial break in progress. CNN Go will resume momentarily. 141 views. All right, Wolf, how do I invite you to join the broadcast?
And we have a key race alert for you right now because some actual votes are coming in.
Some actual votes?
With just a minuscule number of votes in. Terry McAuliffe has 1,126 votes. That is 216 votes ahead of Republican Glenn Youngkin with 910. That is 54.6% for Terry McAuliffe, 44.1% for Glenn Youngkin. But obviously, that is just a very, very small percentage of votes that are in. Where is it coming from, John? Where are the votes coming in from?
So you zoom in right here, you see the capital of Richmond. You come right down below it here, Chesterfield County. This county actually matters. This is one of the central suburban counties just south of Richmond. This is a place where Democrats, the transformation of Virginia from red state to purple state to blue state has been because of the Democratic growth here. You're absolutely right to make the point. This is a minuscule number of votes. It is proof, though, that we are getting started, that the counties are beginning to report results. So then we will accelerate and get through it. Now, that's not
By
a big
what
deal.
time,
You
though?
always want to be in the lead, sure.
Why isn't this
What
phone
matters is the end
charging?
of the night. You're now counting votes. The polls are closed. No one else can vote anymore. So we watch that play out. Why does that matter? If you go back, again, this is what, 2,000 votes. When you add it up, Terry McAuliffe is slightly ahead. If you go back to the 2020 presidential race and you come down here to that same county, this is one of the suburban counties where Trump was more competitive. It used to be a Republican suburban county. It has trended to the Democrats, but this is one place we very much want to watch tonight. The Youngkin campaign will tell you if they can win this state tonight, they will prove it in places like this. We talked earlier, if you come out to the full statewide map, I'll come back to the current race in a minute. This is the presidential race. It might actually be better to look at it in the context of the last governor's race and move this over. Again, Ralph Northam won Chesterfield County, but look how close it was, right? Essentially a tie in Chesterfield County. So this is one of the places where Republicans used to win. It's been trending more to the Democrats. If Youngkin is going to compete and possibly win tonight, it's going to happen like this, run it up out here in rural Trump country, rural Republican country, and then compete in the suburbs. So as we come back to the race tonight, and you look, now we're starting to see some other votes come in. Let's go back first to Chesterfield. An insignificant number. This is a very significant battleground within the battleground. Glenn Youngkin needs this to be read at the end of the night. So we'll be watching Chesterfield County throughout the night. If you come out here, we're just going to look now at some other places where we're getting, again, 200 votes shy just here. But this is one of the places. You say 200 votes doesn't matter. Every vote matters in a very close race. Glenn Youngkin needs these smaller rural counties not only to be read, he needs to run up the math. And you're starting to see more of the votes come in some of these counties. Let's come up here. Culpeper County, we're getting closer to Washington. This is more rural, but if you start to drive out of Washington, you go through the highly populated suburbs, and you get into the exurban areas right there. This is a place where Glenn Youngkin, again, these early results, please don't jump to any conclusions at home. Virginia is one of these places. We're going to be at this for a long time. But if you're in a headquarters and you're...
Okay, well, 1 second. Well, if I don't think you're going to be able to broadcast. Whoa, that's not going to work. It's giving feedback. 1 second. Where are you? I only see me on the screen. Well, if it's not going to work. Sorry, let me get the CNN feedback.
Youngkin is to run it up in these smaller rural counties, much like Donald Trump did, but much like Republicans do in every election, which is why, as you see this fill in red.
Oops. Apparently it's my first day using a phone. I have to open the feed again because I just hung up on it. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. Yeah, well, folks, like I didn't even get to say hi on the broadcast. Sorry. Your picture's on there, though.
Terry McAuliffe is about 30%. He's taken a 2,700 vote lead plus. But as we've noted, it's early and we haven't gotten any numbers yet from the most populous parts of the state. How do you anticipate this filling in? Do we have any idea, like which states are going to report, et cetera? We don't. And again, that's one of the mysteries of tonight. Traditionally, the Republican in any race, Donald Trump did it twice.
Let's check the farm.
When he ran for governor last time, when he ran for Senate 4 years ago before that, traditionally these smaller counties come in first, and the Republican builds a big lead, and then we get the urban and the suburban areas, and the Democrats catch up late. If you want to go back in time and look at this, I could show you. If we go back, let's come up to the presidential race in 2020.
Did we check in?
Here first. I'm going to try to turn this off.
Yes.
Come back to it that way. Come to the presidential race. My apologies. That's my going in the wrong order. Let's go back to the presidential race, right? This is where we were early, 8:30 on election night. Donald Trump builds an early lead. 2 hours later, look how many more votes we get. You're up to nearly 2 million votes. Donald Trump still in the lead. This is Virginia 2020. You get later, past midnight, Donald Trump still in the lead, but Joe Biden closing in. Why? The votes are starting to come in these blue areas. And then as we went later into the night,
Biden essentially ties it at 2 a.m. Wednesday morning. Remember, election night went into the next day, and then as Fairfax County, these other counties came in, Biden pulled away overnight. So that's just an instructive lesson as we go through the night tonight, that don't jump to conclusions based on what you see early on. But if you're in the Youngkin campaign, you're looking at the map, you know where you need to fill it in red. At the moment, that's what's happening. Long way to go.
Yeah, although we should note in 2020, we had an idea based on the Trump campaign and the Biden campaign that they thought that Biden was going to win. Both of them did. Tonight, we have no idea, and it's a toss-up. We have both campaigns have no idea what's going to happen.
Right. Publicly, both campaigns voicing optimism. Privately, both campaigns saying we're brewing a
We
lot
have
of coffee.
no idea what's going to happen. We're getting votes in.
Coffee,
It's
that's what we
exciting. Stay
need.
with us. We'll be right back.
All right, I'm playing the farm game. It says insufficient coins.
Do you think Donald Trump essentially attempted?
We're gonna plant. We're gonna.
I don't know what you could call it other than a coup. January 6th was an
Should I put the link in here if you want to play the farm game with me?
overturning an American election and
All right.
reinstall himself.
15 minutes. Let's check the orders.
No president in history has ever done it before.
Oh, no president.
No president ever does it again.
Yeah.
Jake Temple reports trumping democracy Friday at 9.
All right. Let's see the orders. What can we?
Lucky for you, nothing keeps you connected. Like
4 of the
AT&T
yellow
5G.
chicks.
5G, huh? Is that fast?
10 of
Oh, yeah,
those.
it's fast. And
20
it's
of
reliable.
those.
Definitely is. What about secure? Oh yeah, it's secure. Love it. How many of those you got?
Let's
I don't
check
know.
the guild.
You're very good at whatever this is. You flatter me.
It's not complicated.
Order.
AT&T 5G is fast, reliable, and
White chick, pink chick. We can't do the pink chicks. We don't have any pink chicks. White chick, paint, rings, and yeah. I don't think that's likely. Let's check this.
We're working up a sweat.
You think we can get 4 of the yellow chicks in 8 hours? I don't know. What about 6 paint cans? Let's try the regular, what is it? Level 1 chest. Let's plant 7 of them. I can't show you this on screen because it'll freeze my studio.
Stop taking Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this bacterial infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction.
What else?
Take it
Okay.
during dialysis. Taking Jardiance with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
Network error. Let's try it again.
We're on it with Jardiance.
310 viewers. Hello, everyone. Who wants to guess what time they're going to call this Virginia governor race? You can type it in the chat, and or where you're tuning in from, or what your favorite Halloween candy is.
I just wanted to say, find yourself in these situations and see who you are.
And that's just part of the bargain.
Yes, Woof Woof saying not to yell, but if I don't yell, they can't hear me over the broadcast.
Humana's all-in-one Medicare Advantage plans include coverage for hospital stays, doctor visits, and prescription drugs. Most plans also include dental and vision
How is it
coverage.
playing the commercials if I'm on CNN Go?
Humana has a huge network of doctors and hospitals.
All right, let me
All
check
for
this.
a $0 monthly plan premium in many areas. You deserve a great Medicare plan. So call or go online today to get this free decision guide. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
Better skin from your body wash? Try Olay body wash with skincare super ingredient collagen. Olay body wash with collagen hydrates.
Yeah, we never
rejuvenates
checked
skin
2 of the
surface
farms
cells, and
today.
makes skin 3
Let's
times
do
better.
that.
From dry and dull to firm and radiant. So I can step into my day feeling my best in my skin. And now, try new Olay Body Lotion, which hydrates for healthier looking skin and improves over time. Olay Body, fearless in my skin.
CNN International is open to the world.
I'm Christiana Manpour in Helsinki, Finland. I'm Becky Hamilton in Abu Dhabi.
I'm here in a remote
We can
part
water
of
4 more trees today.
Exchange, Port Elizabeth, Puerto Rico, Hong Kong,
And Portland, Oregon.
Moscow.
Go international. Anytime, anywhere, from selected devices. Stream it live now.
Exhausted before we've even started.
CNN Go International.
We can water 2 more plants. Now it's saying CNN Go commercial break in progress. Okay. 2 more plants. Let's try the thief and see if the thieves of our farm have any.
I'm Miguel Marquez at a polling station in New York, and this is CNN.
We have a key race alert for you right now in the great Commonwealth of Virginia in the governor's race there, with 5% of the vote in. Glenn Youngkin, the Republican, has 74,409 votes. That's 52.6% of the vote. He is 8,408 votes ahead of Democrat Terry McAuliffe, who has 66,001 votes with 46.7% of the vote. Again, we only have 5% of the vote in, but as of right now, the Republican Glenn Youngkin has a lead. Let's go to John King right now at the Magic Wall.
Let's see if we can switch farms without freezing the feed.
About in the previous segment, how normally votes from Northern Virginia, the Democratic stronghold and the most populous area, don't come in until the end of the night. But so many people voted early. They had early voting in Virginia, 45 days of early voting, vote by mail and early voting. And so now those Northern Virginia counties are able to give some votes early.
Some emphasis on some, and the key point is you watch the map start to fill in. We're at about 5% of the total votes. We have a long way to go. If you're Glenn Youngkin, the map is filling in red where you need it to. In a very close election, we know the suburbs around Washington, D.C., up here, around Richmond, and in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. In a very close race, it's those suburban areas, population centers that tend to decide it. So we are starting to see some votes. This is one of the key suburbs we're going to watch tonight. Again, we're looking here.
I've lived in Fairfax County.
So this is not dispositive by any means. This is the first glimpse of votes. But Prince William County, traditionally, you go back 25 years ago, a Republican suburb that has trended Democratic. Terry McAuliffe wants to keep this blue. This, again, the very tiniest smidgen of early votes right there. If you come within it right here, the city of Manassas, a population center here, Terry McAuliffe, early votes, again, shy of 5,000 votes if you look at it right there. This is the part of the map that needs to stay blue, and the Terry McAuliffe needs to run up pretty healthy margins. You move closer to Washington, D.C.
Oops, see, it just shut down the feed. Why does he have no sound? Where did the sound go on the CNN feed? Hello? That's weird.
Jake, Richmond here. You have down below, we talked earlier about Chesterfield County, Youngkin with a slight lead there, and Henrico County to the north. Again, the Youngkin campaign says if it can pull this off tonight, it will be competitive in the suburbs around Richmond. Again, it's early. Within the battleground, we'll continue to watch. Very interesting. You pull it up.
I'm going to go to Joe Johns right now, who's in Chesapeake, Virginia. So why don't you punch up Chesapeake on the Magic Wall while we bring in Joe, who has some election results. Joe, what do you?
I do not understand why it's doing that.
That window behind me, you can see the vote counting going on in action while I read some of these. All of the precincts reporting here in Chesapeake City have Youngkin leading, and I'll just read you the raw numbers, if nothing else. Youngkin ahead in precinct number 1 that I've looked at, 667, McAuliffe 312. In the second precinct, the numbers are similar.
It's not letting me make the picture smaller. Let me close the farm and see if that'll fix the problem.
And so it goes. Another precinct, McAuliffe is behind. Again, McAuliffe has 382 votes. Youngkin votes. Still early. The simple thing we can say to you is we're going to keep watching all of these. The other thing that's important, I think, to say about Chesapeake is in total, last time around, it was Joe Biden winning the election. The question, of course, is what happens in this governor's race. And we can also tell you that we spent the day over at folks there. Interesting fact that a lot of the people really didn't know that much about Glenn Youngkin, but they said they were voting for Terry McAuliffe because they knew his name. Back to you.
All right, interesting. Joe Johns with some actual votes coming in there, John, and these are just it's just a couple precincts, but it shows a.
I do not understand why my app is not working. Maybe I'll turn it on. Sound on my TV.
Again, this is not dispositive. These are, as Joe mentioned, these are two of the precincts he mentioned where he had the firm vote numbers, and Glenn Youngkin ahead by a couple, 300 votes or with change there in all those. So why does that matter? I just want to push this down out of the way. Again, this is in Chesapeake. They haven't officially reported them yet, so you still see the map blank. If you go back to the last governor's race, this is a very blue area. Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, all around in here. Again, there's a lot of military down here. It used to be more of a competitive area. A lot of Republicans.
What if I turn the feed on my computer?
In part because of African American voters, in part because of the suburban revolt. Again, started on steroids after Trump. So it's one of the places we will watch. So as you start to get early results, let me just come back to the race tonight so people aren't confused and pull out. We think we're at about 5% of the vote, starting to sprinkle in around in the state. And we have what we thought we were going to have, some early votes in a very competitive race. A very competitive race, only 5% in, 95% of the vote to go. We'll be back with more of the actual votes from actual voters coming in on election night. Stay with us. This is a coup attempt encouraged by sitting American president.
I'm gonna close this. Let me open it and see if I can get it to work. The picture-in-picture part is that it stopped working.
Made me feel like I was trapped in a fog.
Which is really weird.
Inspired by real stories of people living with bipolar depression. I just couldn't find my way out of it.
I'm going to reopen the Stream app. How are you all doing? Where are you tuning in from? Wolf says hi. Bo says hi. Bear and Sweet Potato say hi. All right.
Children, teens, and young adults. Elderly dementia
There. Now let's try the farm again.
Call your doctor about fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, as these may be life-threatening or uncontrollable muscle movements, as these may be permanent. These are not all serious side effects.
Now, I'm back where I belong. Ask your doctor about Latuda and pay as little as $0 for your first prescription.
The politicians in Washington have undercut American manufacturing and allowed China to threaten our jobs. It's getting harder and harder for working people like me to get ahead. Now, the politicians are threatening to do the same thing to America's tech economy, hurting us all. It's time to stand up for American jobs and American innovation. American tech innovators are strengthening our economy.
Who's running that ad?
Security. Our leaders need to protect our competitive edge.
Who's it paid for?
Give it away.
Paid for by, I couldn't see. It's too
History
small.
is filled with almosts. With those who almost adventured, who almost achieved, but ultimately, for them it proved to be too much. Then there are others, the ones who embrace the moment and commit. And in these moments of truth, these men and women, these mere mortals, just like you and me, as they peer over the edge, they calm their minds and steel their nerves with 4 simple words that have been whispered by the intrepid since the time of the Romans. Fortune favors the brave.
How many more do we need for this fishing ship? We need 2 nets. 2 nets.
Diana thought she craved anonymity, but actually was addicted to fame.
The new CNN original series, Diana, Sunday at 9 on CNN. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Here's a hint about how to make
Order failed. Order failed. Order failed.
Make the switch to X Chair. No matter where you put the amazing X Chair, it instantly becomes the most comfortable place in any space. Infinite side float recline and dynamic variable lumbar support make the X Chair Exterior, a customer favorite at home and work. Don't forget, the Exterior lets you customize for the same measure of amazing comfort no matter what your size. Join the thousands of others who've discovered the joy of relaxing workdays. Now we've integrated penetrating heat and massage into our patented dynamic variable lumbar support. What someone experiences our XHMT heat and massage chair.
Orders failed, orders failed, and orders failed. All 6 orders failed. Let's just try planning chess. Level 1 chess. Wolf, who do you want to send the roses to? You want to send one to Bob?
I'm Wolf Blitzer in Scotland, and this is CNN.
And we have another key race alert for you as the votes continue to come in the competitive Virginia governor's race. We have 12% of the estimated vote from Virginia in, and Republican Glenn Youngkin is retaining his lead and expanding upon it. As of this hour, Glenn Youngkin has 211,382 votes. That's 55.3% of the vote. He is 43,149 votes ahead of the Democrat, former Governor Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe has 168,000. Oh, I'm sorry, they just jumped again. It's up to Terry McAuliffe has 173,192. Glenn Youngkin has 55.2% of the vote. Terry McAuliffe 44.1% of the vote. We just jumped from 12% of the estimated vote to 13%. But Glenn Youngkin with a lead at this hour, roughly 43,000 votes. And we have more votes coming in from Northern Virginia, including from a very key county we'll be watching all night, Loudoun County. Again, one of the suburbs. You come across the Potomac River, you're into, first Arlington and Alexandria, Fairfax. You move out a little bit. Once a reliably Republican suburb, this has trended Democratic. Again, 45% of the estimated vote. Let's watch that throughout the night because you get some of the early voting, then you get the day of voting. But you see Terry McAuliffe jumping out to an early lead. Almost just shy of 10 points. So you look at that and you think, okay, that's good for the Democrat. You go back in time to the last governor's race, though, and you look here, you see Ralph Northam winning, the governor's race 4 years ago had a bigger margin there. And if you look at the 2020 presidential race, I would click it up here in Loudoun County, Joe Biden had a blowout. And so that's one of the questions we're going to watch tonight. Is Glenn Youngkin running stronger than Donald Trump, than Donald Trump last year, Ed Gillespie 4 years ago? Is he showing that Republicans can make inroads in the suburbs? Can't answer that question yet. At the moment, he is competitive. If you pull out, look, again, this is the major population center. Loudoun County is the fastest growing county in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So how it votes will matter a lot. You're starting to see, again, more of the map fill in. I just want to come down here as well. This is Albemarle County. This is Charlottesville. And around here, right here. And then if you come up here, we talk Loudoun County is here. Next to it is the largest population center, Fairfax County. This is Prince William, excuse me. Let me come up to Fairfax City here. We're getting some votes in Fairfax in the city. In the county itself, still waiting, but that's one of the places we have reporters on the scene. Yeah, and in fact, punch up Fairfax County because I'm going to go to Ryan Nobles right now, who isn't critical.
I lived in Fairfax County.
Virginia. And Ryan, you have some vote numbers coming in for us. What do you have?
Yeah, that's right, Jake. Just handed the early vote and absentee vote return totals for Fairfax County. This is just the first tranche of votes that Fairfax has counted until this point. And it shows right now Terry McAuliffe with 98,657 votes total, both early vote and vote by mail, and Glenn Youngkin with a total of 34,410 votes. There's a total so far of about 133 votes cast, actually closer to 134,000 votes cast. And when you break those down, early voting versus vote by mail, it's a 77,000 of those votes are early votes, 56,000 are vote by mail. So that shows that there's still a pretty significant amount of early vote totals that have yet to be counted yet because they were.
Now we only need one more net.
10,000 early votes cast in Fairfax County. But still, this is probably relatively good news for Terry McAuliffe. Perhaps not huge margins that he was looking for, but again, that total 98,657 for McAuliffe, 34,410 for Glenn Youngkin, and this is just the early vote totals and absentee vote totals, this first batch that they've been able to count, Jake.
All right, Ryan Nobles, thank you so much. And just to re-explain this to our viewers, those are votes that have not shown up on our big map yet. With Fairfax City right there, Fairfax County is what Ryan was talking about.
Let's see if we can check the other farm without freezing
to run up
the feed.
Yes, absolutely. And again, this is the largest population center of suburban. It's the Washington suburbs in Northern Virginia. And again, if you want, let's go back in time. Look at the 2020 presidential race in Fairfax County. You see what we're talking about here, 70 to 28 if you round up President Biden. If you go back to the 2017 race for governor, 68 to 31. This is the Democratic vote breadbasket right here. This is where the Democrats have to run it up and run it up big, because not these other suburbs help. Without a doubt, the other suburbs help. But Fairfax is, when you get into a close election, to slide this out of the way a little bit, we can bring it back if we need it. You know, this is 2017. You know, Republicans are going to fill in this map. The issue for Republicans is every one of these votes counts. Don't get me wrong, but these are smaller, less populous counties. If you look at the population centers and you bring it in this way, bring in population, you see this, these are Republican wins, these red circles. But the smaller the circle, the smaller the population center. You see what happens in these races. The Democrats with the big blue circles, that's because they're winning in the urban areas and the suburban areas where you have the higher population center. So even though this map, a Virginia map, tends to be more red than blue, like many states, the Democrats win because they run it up in the urban areas and the suburban areas. So when we come back to the current race, there is absolutely no doubt, especially with Youngkin. It's an early lead. We have to count all the votes as we get through it. But this is what happens. If Democrats are to come back, as we have seen them time and time again, by blowout margins in recent elections, Republicans often get the lead early. Comes down to this.
Right, and as you note, the Republicans are hoping that they got enough vote out today, election day, because Democrats traditionally get their votes out in the early vote and the vote by mail. So McAuliffe needs to run it up in the early vote, and he needs to run it up in the populous Northern Virginia counties. We're going to take a quick break. The numbers are coming in. It's very competitive. Stay with us.
Woof woof, who do you want to send this milk tea to? You want to send it who?
Football
Okay.
is a game of inches, but it's also a game of information, because the NFL is connected, and at any moment, the fate of the season can come down to this: billions of secure connections per second. When the game is on the line, and the game is always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
Okay.
WeatherTech gift cards have the power to wow everyone on your holiday list, offering a variety of American-made products. WeatherTech, nice. Like floor liners, cargo liner, tablet holder, food tray, cup phone, sink mat, pet feeding system.
Get gifts for free.
Order the WeatherTech gift card instantly for the perfect gift at WeatherTech.com. What do we do?
You need 20 to buy something. That makes 15.
Thanks for calling the French Dispatch. Original and captivating. It bubbles
Check
over
in
with
now.
joy.
You've gained a Benz vehicle valid for 3 days. All right, let's check the farm. Wait, do you want to play the horse game?
Sanderson delivers one of the most
It's not going to let me play these games while I'm on Wi-Fi. We could try.
The French Dispatch. Rated R.
So who's it going to be? Tom?
Horse race game. That's what I wanted to check. I wanted to see if they were giving a free bet if you made a deposit today. A free $5 bet. Let me see. Not on the game, on the real horse racing app. You have to guess two. Let's see. Wind Chaser. All right, let's see if we win anything. I'm going to finish checking the farm and then check about that free bet. That's the horse race on the game. Did you win? 4? Oh, we won 4. That's enough to plan a special what's it called?
So when I started having unintentional body movements called tardive dyskinesia, I ignored them.
The second level
But when the
chest.
twitching and jerking in my face and hands affected my day-to-day, I finally had to say, it's not okay. It was time to talk to my doctor about a steno.
She said Austedo helps reduce
Thank and follow.
while I continue with most of my mental health medication.
Austedo can cause depression, suicidal thoughts or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or suicidal thoughts. Common side effects include inflammation of the nose and throat, insomnia, and sleepiness. Don't take Austedo if you have liver problems or taking Rezapine, tetrabenazine, or valbenazine. Austedo may cause irregular or fast heartbeat, restlessness, movements mimicking Parkinson's disease, fever, stiff muscles, problems thinking, and sweating.
Should we say who the fuck cares, or that Wolf doesn't want me to do that on my broadcast?
It's not okay. Visit askforaustedo.com.
As Carla wonders if she can retire sooner, she'll revisit her plan with Fidelity.
We need 2,080 to upgrade the flag, and we only have 500 and something.
Right now. That's the planning effect from Fidelity.
And the votes keep coming in. Let's bring you the latest key race alert in the competitive Virginia governor's race. With 25% of the estimated vote in, Republican Glenn Youngkin remains in the lead with 410,598 votes. That's 52% of the vote. He is 36,837 votes, pardon me, ahead.
We need four nets.
Who has 373,000, now 374,000. It was just updated to 26% of the estimated vote. 374,979. Glenn Youngkin remaining in the lead as votes come in, more than a quarter now. Youngkin 52%. Terry McAuliffe
3 failed orders.
3%. And we are getting votes from Northern Virginia. This is different from how it usually happens, John.
Yeah, sometimes when you get Northern Virginia votes, you get a little bit early, and then most of it comes in late again, midnight, 1 a.m. 2 a.m. has been our experience in recent years, but we are seeing more again. That's in part because more than 1.1 million votes were cast early. And so you want to get the breakdown. And again, as you watch this play out, if you're in the Youngkin campaign right now, you're thinking, okay, we have a long way to go, but they expected, a big surge on election day. If you're in the Youngkin campaign, you're getting 47% in Loudoun County. Is that enough to keep it competitive? We'll see, but it's a lot better than previous Republicans have done up here. You move over here to Fairfax County, this is a problem. This is good for McAuliffe and bad for the Republican. Fairfax, traditionally Democratic stronghold, but again, we have about a third of the vote, so we have to wait to see what we get later as we come in. These are the closer in Washington suburbs, more liberal, more reliably Democratic. You see McAuliffe there, about a third of the vote in, getting 81%. That's what he needs to do. You click down here, Alexandria. The Youngkin campaign thought it was going to overperform most recent Republicans, including Trump or Ed Gillespie in the last governor's race. Here, again, just 3% of the vote in here. So we're going to watch. I'll tell you something else we're watching. This, again, in a very close race, the Northern Virginia suburbs are the biggest population center. So they are dispositive, and they are the key to Democrats, especially if the Republican vote comes in, as you see here. One indication early on, though, again, it's early. I'm not sure why that shape came in. Let me try to do it again. See if I can. That was good, right? I don't think I could do that again if I tried. Every now and then I communicate with my planet. But if you walk in here, you come down here. If we go back to the race for governor in 2017, you see how that blew down?
Yeah.
So you come back to 2021. So we just want to see what it is. And again, it's early, but it's what you watch, right? Youngkin has to rewrite the recent map for Republicans in Virginia. So that would mean, are you competitive in Virginia Beach with about 20% of the vote in? The answer for now is yes. We don't know how this is going to play out. This is why we're watching. Over in Chesapeake, where you just talked to Joe Johns, you add up all the math there, again, 6%. And if you're early on in the night, in the Youngkin campaign, you're thinking, okay, we're starting to lay down.
Oh, one of the orders didn't fail here.
We've lived through too many of these, not discounting every vote counts, but we have to watch it play out. But as you watch that fill in red right here, you're encouraged. If you're the Democrats, you're going to watch right here. In addition to Northern Virginia, you have to win in the Richmond suburbs, in all of the suburbs, and Henrico County here to the north of Richmond. That's relative. Again, if you go back in time, that's McAuliffe Youngkin right now, as we get about 40% of the vote. If you go back, Ralph Northam winning big for governor 4 years ago at 61%. So if you look at it that way, some of this early voting, we don't know the answer to the question yet. But one of the big questions is, does Terry McAuliffe overperform Northam, or at least run equal with Northam, run close to Biden in the Virginia suburbs, or does he underperform? We can look at that early on, Jake, and I want to just emphasize for people at home, this is early on. Yeah, we're just starting to build. But if you look at the map right now, and let's take it this way. Let's look at it from this way. Is Glenn Youngkin overperforming Trump? In a lot of places. in a lot of places at the moment. Again, the vote is early, especially.
What does this mean? If it's red, it's a county.
If it stays on. So let's come back to this. I'll turn it off for you.
That's just
You watch. Yeah. Here you're looking at the vote right now. This is the actual live vote as we count it right now. If you bring this in, these are counties where Youngkin is overperforming Trump. It includes the early count in the populous Northern Virginia suburbs. We have a long way to go. This will matter a lot more in 3, 4, and 5 hours than it does right now. But if you're looking at your early vote counts in a campaign headquarters, if you're Glenn Youngkin, you're looking at the map and saying, so far, so good, the emphasis on so far. So let's come out and look at it from another perspective. Let's turn that off. Where is Terry McAuliffe? Again, this is the live vote right now. So watch what turns off. Where is Terry McAuliffe underperforming Joe Biden? You saw a lot of counties turn off, right? You see a lot of that turn off right there. That means at the moment in this early vote, McAuliffe is underperforming. Now, McAuliffe can underperform Biden. McAuliffe can underperform both of them because both of them won in blowouts.
Right.
So it's important to note this is a blue lean state. It's not a presidential year, and it's not the political environment that Ralph Northam ran in back in 2017. This is a much more difficult environment. So Terry McAuliffe can underperform Joe Biden, underperform the current governor, Ralph Northam, and still win this race, which is why you don't overemphasize them now. So this has come back to where we are, so you don't mislead people home. But that's what we're going to watch throughout the night. It's a test. Are Republicans, is the Trump base turning out in a campaign where the Republican candidate kept Trump at arm's length? That's test number one for Glenn Youngkin. He cannot win this race unless he gets all of the Trump base. But even if he gets all of the Trump base, it's not enough. He has to make inroads here, and here. Early indications are he's in play.
Yeah.
Now we count.
He has to draw a straight flush, but he's not out of the game yet.
No,
he's getting some good cards.
By no means.
He's getting some good cards. We're standing by for more results out of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Polling places are about to close in the other governor's race being decided tonight. North of us, in New Jersey, we'll have much more ahead. Stay with us.
With Voltaire and arthritis pain gel, my husband's got his moves back.
An alternative to pills, Voltaire is a non-steroidal.
Woof, do you want to try the horse race again, or do you want to try the other game? We might have to turn off the Wi-Fi for a second for the other game to work. You want to try this game? All right, I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi for a second and see what happens.
In this market, you'll find fresher investments.
What's the name of this game, Woof? If people might want to know.
Don't you just ride the wave?
We actively manage client portfolios based on our forward-looking views of the market.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions, right?
They're on commercials, so we're just going to try this game for 1 second. The biggest of three. They changed the name of the game.
Star bet. Star bet.
We won. How much? 3. You want to try one more time?
Star bet. Star bet.
We lost. All right. Let's close this and turn back on the CNN feed. Turn the Wi-Fi back on. What do they have scheduled from 8 o'clock on? It says commercial break in progress. CNN Go will resume momentarily, and it's on CNN Go. Why? Because I turned off the Wi-Fi. Election night in America, then what happens? What happens at 8 o'clock? It still says, wait. Election night in America, is it different? Maybe the host changes at 8 o'clock? Don Lemon anchors? Who's anchoring now? Jake Tapper, Donna Bash, and Anderson Cooper. All right. I need some more caffeine. Let me. It should resume momentarily. Probably need to get my migraine glasses.
The new CNN original series, Diana, Sundays at 9 on CNN.
We have another key race alert for you right now. More votes are coming in from the Commonwealth of Virginia in the competitive gubernatorial race there. Let us look at what the voters have said so far. With about a third of the vote in, 33% of the vote in, Republican Glenn Youngkin is up with 556,912 votes. He has 54.2% of the vote, roughly 92,323 votes ahead of Democrat Terry McAuliffe, who has 465,588 votes. He has 45.1% of the vote. The votes are still coming in, though. It remains a very competitive race. There are still more than 2 million votes that we need to count. We're closing in on the next critical round of votes that could send a message to President Biden and the nation about the political climate right now. Voting is about
the political climate.
Home of the second marquee governor's race tonight. Murphy is the Democrat. He is the incumbent governor. He's seeking re-election to a second term against former Republican state lawmaker Jack Ciattarelli. We're also standing by for votes in
Kornacki Cam.
races across the country. Polling places are about to close in the
Watch live on election night on
and Boston. Right now, let's go to MJ Lee. She's in New Jersey at Governor Phil Murphy's election headquarters in the famous Asbury Park. MJ, how are they feeling in Governor Murphy's campaign headquarters tonight?
Well, Jake, essentially what Phil Murphy is doing as he tries to get reelected for another term, they are making the bet that the people in New Jersey are going to grade him based on how things look in New Jersey as opposed to focusing on the events that are happening in Washington. This sort of underscores a political reality right now, as you know very well, that the governor of New Jersey is more popular right now in his state than the leader of the Democratic Party, President Biden. He enjoys support from the majority of voters in New Jersey, whereas President Biden, he has seen his popularity slip into negative territory recently, and this is really important to think about. What is happening in Washington, something that Joe Biden came actually to New Jersey to try to sell his ideas on the infrastructure spending bill, the sweeping economic package. Obviously, he ended up being unsuccessful before he left for his foreign trip, but folks here are feeling cautiously optimistic. They don't want to come out and say that they are going to be necessarily successful, but ultimately they believe that because they were so focused on local issues, that if they are successful, that will be the key to why. Jake.
All right, MJ Lee in Asbury Park, New Jersey, with the campaign headquarters of Governor Phil Murphy, the incumbent Democrat. Let's go back to the Virginia's governor's race. Jeff Zeleny is at the headquarters of Democrat Terry McAuliffe in McLean, Virginia, Northern Virginia. Jeff, so far, it is, well, the numbers are still coming in, but it is very, very competitive. How are they feeling at McAuliffe headquarters?
Jake, Terry McAuliffe has been through winning campaigns and he's been through losing campaigns. And right now I am told he is at home with his family, his wife, his 5 children, extended family, not far from here in McLean, Virginia. He is simply watching these results come in. Talking to a Democrat who has spoken with him throughout the day, saying he realizes that his rival Glenn Youngkin closed in a strong position. But the McAuliffe campaign remains optimistic about the high turnout in these northern Virginia counties. They're keeping their eye on Fairfax. They're keeping their eye on Alexandria, other places. But, Jake, we did just get a very interesting letter that Terry McAuliffe sent to his supporters. He said, win or lose, we fought a good campaign. So certainly striking not necessarily an enthusiastic tone, but thanking his supporters as they begin what could be a long night of counting here in Virginia. Jake?
That's an interesting letter for Terry McAuliffe to have written. We're expecting the polls in New Jersey to close in 2 minutes. John King, quickly tell us what you're looking for.
Well, here you see the two candidates, Republican Jack Ciattarelli, as you mentioned, Phil Murphy trying to win re-election as a Democrat. That hasn't happened in a long time. Jake, you know, you're from Philadelphia, so obviously you look at the suburban vote, right? You look at the suburbs down here.
One stop. Which one stop?
The giant suburbs up here outside of New York City, and then the urban population center of
Why
Newark.
did it stop?
This is a Democratic state. It's a Democratic state where Governor Murphy believes his COVID leadership has earned him re-election. So we will watch it play out again. The president's approval rating is down. Democrats say this is a tough climate because of COVID and because of the economy. This should stay a blue state, but we'll watch it to see as it plays out.
Why did Twitch stop?
Right there. We're waiting as we wait on New Jersey. Also, you see Virginia is leaning red at the moment, but there you see about a third of the vote in. Glenn Youngkin with the lead. One thing that the Republican campaign is saying there so far, Jake, is that they're very encouraged by the turnout in these rural areas, smaller communities where they say Republican turnout is exceeding the last governor's race 4 years ago. So the Youngkin campaign happy at the moment, but as you noted, a lot of votes still to be counted.
And we are just moments away from the end of voting in the New Jersey governor's race. We're expecting that at the top of the hour. Let us get a key race alert. It is still too early to call the New Jersey governor's race between Democratic incumbent Phil Murphy and Republican Jack Ciattarelli. We expect the first results soon now that the polls have closed, but we do not have information about that race yet. Let us now do a key race alert for the gubernatorial race in Virginia. The latest numbers have come in with 34% of the vote in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Republican Glenn Youngkin remains in the lead, 573,314 votes. That's roughly 54.3% of the vote. He is almost 100,000 votes ahead, 97,167 votes ahead of Democrat Terry McAuliffe, who has 476,749 votes. He has 45% of the
CDC just approved the vaccine for children 5 to 11.
Terry McAuliffe is 9 percentage points behind. We don't expect that margin to hold necessarily, but so far, Glenn Youngkin has done what he needs to have done. In the early vote count, he has. But to your point, when emphasizing,
Let me see.
tonight. But we do know you can go back in Virginia election history, whether it's presidential, prior governor's races, the Senate race in 2014, where you've seen Republicans
Children
take
5 to
a big lead,
11.
even a big lead like that.
Yeah.
Because we
Can
have
get the
about a million
COVID
votes
vaccine
there.
as soon as
Well,
tomorrow
that,
as the
you add it up, we
CDC gives
expect about
final
3 million
clearance.
votes cast in this race. So we have a very long way to go. But if you are the Republican candidate, you're going to go down to the tiny toughest part of Virginia, right? You can't. You say, why am I focusing on this? It's 6,000 people, right? Why would you think about that? One of the reasons Republicans are happy is, here was the question. Could a Republican who kept Trump at arm's length run it up in Trump country, right? 85% of the vote, with about 90% of the vote counted there, right? Look at that number, 5,078. 4 years ago in the race for governor, the Republican won with 3,400 votes. The Republican campaign is happy, saying in rural Virginia, turnout is up from the last governor's race, and the margins are coming in for Glenn Youngkin as they count. Now, those are smaller numbers, but in a close race where every vote counts, this was challenge number one. Run it up. Get the Trump base to turn out and vote Republican, even though you told President Trump, please don't come to Virginia. At the moment, Glenn Youngkin seems to be meeting that challenge. Then the next challenge is suburbs here, vote rich area here, and then this is it. The ultimate prize in Virginia is up here. So how are we doing in those? If you're the Youngkin campaign, you're looking at Chesterfield County, suburbs south of Richmond, traditionally Republican, have gone more Democratic recently. You think, okay. Henrico County, more voters here. When you come up to the north of Richmond, McAuliffe winning here, 60% of the vote in, just match it up. 60% for Northam. Again, Terry McAuliffe can underperform Ralph Northam, the Democrat from 4 years ago. He can underperform him. He does not want to underperform him significantly. All right, Ralph Northam won. If you come back to the statewide numbers 4 years ago, it was not close. So when we compare McAuliffe to Northam, you want to sound maybe not as good, but he can afford to underperform some. The question is how much, and that's why in the end we will come up here, because you see about a third of the vote just shy in Fairfax. This is your giant, biggest basket of votes in Northern Virginia. The last of it tends to come in late, meaning midnight or later. 73%, 74%.
Let me check my email.
If you go back, he's overperforming in the early count here. Terry McAuliffe overperforming the percentages of Ralph Northam. But look at the vote in the end here, right? In Fairfax County, 255,200 for the winner 4 years ago, which is why when you look here, 98,000. We have a long way to go. We have a lot more votes to count. If you're McAuliffe, you're looking at Fairfax, and you're thinking in a very close race, if he can get it closer, pull back out, see where we are, because votes are coming in constantly. Just shy of 100,000 vote lead for the Republican right now. Glenn Youngkin, you are happy with what you're seeing so far, but again, you remember, Republicans have led before, only to be disappointed as the late votes comes in up here. A lot of counting still to do.
It's another sign for your home planet.
Yeah, that was my knuckle. I did that one. I didn't do the last one. That was my knuckle.
Do the thing where you compare McAuliffe to Biden and Youngkin to Trump in terms of underperforming and overperforming.
All right, so let's start with McAuliffe. He's the Democrat in a blue state. All things being equal, he should win this state. All things are not equal. COVID pandemic exhaustion, Biden approval rating down, people worried about the economy. So all things are not equal, which is why this is a competitive race. But this is where we are right now. 148,000. See, more votes have come in just during. This is the magic of the magic wall, if you will. More votes come in during the conversation. 150,000 vote lead for the Republican.
He just jumped up about 50,000.
He just jumped up. So we'll look where those votes came from. And where is McAuliffe underperforming Joe Biden? You see where we are right now? When things turn off, right? You see all these counties that are still on the map. Terry McAuliffe at the moment in the early count is underperforming Joe Biden. Now again, Joe Biden won by 10 points. Terry McAuliffe can underperform Joe Biden even significantly and still win the race.
You don't want to. I mean, Fairfax County is
right.
One of those that he needs to.
Fairfax is one of those counties, as is Prince Williams County down here. So you're looking at two of the suburban counties where. Let's compare what we're talking about. This is Loudoun County. You see 53%, right? I have to do 2 clicks here to get you back to it. You come to the presidential race here. Joe Biden's getting 61, 62 if you round up. Again, he can, because the margins were so big for Joe Biden and for Ralph Northam, Terry McAuliffe can underperform. The question is by how much? Now let's turn that off and look at it. Where is Youngkin overperforming Trump? All right, let me do it. Let me turn this off first. Come back just to show you. This is where we are live. It's now 152,893. So the lead for the Republican is growing. Again, a lot of votes still to count. So if you're Glenn Youngkin, how am I doing compared to Donald Trump? Am I overperforming? Yes, in a lot of places, including down here in Trump country. So let me ask at the moment.
So Youngkin's path, the concept of his victory was that he would be able to get people in, what was this, Buchanan County?
Yeah, Buchanan County.
That he would not only keep the people who voted for Trump, but maybe even build on it.
Right.
And in places like Fairfax County, just narrow the margins.
Exactly.
Does he have to flip any counties, or can he just overperform in super red counties like Buchanan and just narrow the margins in super blue counties like Fairfax?
Can he? Yes, but that's asking a lot. You would have to overperform on steroids. You would essentially need every voter to come out in here, just because the population is so.
So he has to flip. He has
to flip some. So you're looking right now. Where could you flip? Right. Again, if you come down here and you look at Chesterfield County, if you go back to the last race for governor, it was blue. Right. The last race for governor, Chesterfield, the suburbs south, very close, very competitive, but it was blue. So there are places where at the moment he is changing the map. Again, we have a lot of votes to count, but it's really hard to see. Even when he was in the other night, Youngkin was here in Loudoun County. It's the fastest growing county in Virginia. It's not the largest population center. Fairfax County is, but Loudoun is the fastest growing. And that growth is what has hurt Republicans in the suburbs. It's white college educated, it's younger voters, it's Latinos, and it's Asian voters who are increasingly a swing population in Northern Virginia. So where are we right now? 52-47. Where were we 4 years ago? 60-40. So Glenn Youngkin is narrowing the gap there. Is that enough? That depends on the turnout as we go through more of the night. And remember,
2 years ago or 1 year ago?
Where the Republicans said they would overperform in the election day vote. We'll find out in the next few hours.
And we're also, of course, waiting for early vote. David Chalian, you have some new information from the background desk in terms of what voters who went to the polls, what they were thinking, what mattered to them.
Yeah, well, and we're digging into what you and John were just talking about, the difference between how much of this vote is early vote versus how much is election day vote. So right now, here's the vote total as things stand. We have about 41% of the estimated vote in. Glenn Youngkin has 710,176 votes. Terry McAuliffe has 554,200 288 votes. So the question is, how much of this vote that's in already is early absentee vote, people that either voted early in person or voted by mail absentee? Well, right now, our estimate is that 23% of this current vote that you see in is made up of early vote, people who voted before Election Day. But we expect that 23% to go up to 37%. We think at the end of the day, when every vote is counted, 37% of the electorate will have voted early. That means 63% of the electorate will have voted on Election Day. If indeed Terry McAuliffe is significantly outperforming with Glenn Youngkin in early vote, as Democrats hoped that he was, banking that vote, that growth from the current 23% to the estimated 37% is opportunity for McAuliffe to try to make up and dig into some of this Youngkin lead, Jake.
Yep, the race remains very competitive as the actual counting goes on. We're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, more from the New Jersey gubernatorial race, the Virginia governor's race, and much, much more. It's election night in the United States. Stay with us.
She's the love of my life. Been there with me for 1 million sunsets, 1,000 laughs. Even got me through a few rough days. Together, we share the power of 8 cylinders and 4 valves. Forever. Anywho, I got serious thanks selling on Driveway.com.
Driveway picks it up
Giddy up!
and pays you fast with instant offers. It's auto. Done easy.
It's a busy time of year, so it's okay that you're not perfect. And guess what? Neither is food. That's where Imperfect Foods comes in. They save food, like carrots that take on a shape of their own, or chocolate-covered pretzel pieces, and created an entire line of sustainable groceries, including pantry staples that taste delicious. Make a difference. Embrace imperfection and get your groceries delivered weekly with Imperfect Foods. Sign up today at imperfectfoods.com/TV. Use code GREEN20 for 20% off your first box.
I absolutely love Rona. It's one of the largest online consignment and thrift stores with your favorite brands up to 90% off the estimated retail. Rona has so many things to choose from. So many different brands. These Bakewell Slim Straights retail for $130. Throw-Up's price is $38.99. It's a Loft Blouse $18.99. Cuban Tugs. And my dream closet at an amazing price. And I'm giving Place a second chance. It really doesn't get any better than this.
Head to threadup.com and get up to an extra 50% off your first order.
Think organic groceries are too expensive? So do we. Hi, we're Thrive Market. We guarantee savings on healthy groceries and home essentials delivered. How? It's easy. We work directly with the best organic brands, so you get the highest quality products without the big retail markups.
They're offering a bet back, but they're not offering a free bet.
Non-toxic cleaning and save up to 30% on your favorite products. Join now and get $20 off your first order.
I literally Googled best online life insurance. Ladder Life Insurance popped up.
Got an estimate, and I was like, wait.
Yes, my chair sitting is dangerous, I know.
My household's cell phone bill.
Congratulations, you have life insurance.
Get your peace of mind right there and then.
Here's how Ladder works. Answer a few quick questions and get your personalized quote.
All right, let me look.
It's that easy. Come see for yourself why customers love Ladder. $1 million policies available for just $27 a month. Check your price now at ladderlife.com.
Depression can be a really difficult thing to go through. Fortunately, people always have a lot of ideas to help me through.
They can tell Phil Mom.
Cheer up.
We have so much to be happy for.
Try tennis?
It's because you're a Leo.
Melatonin.
Just go shopping.
Do we have any more paper towels?
Yep. Check the pantry. I just ordered from Boxed.
What's Boxed?
Boxed is the only wholesale club that lets you tap into the value of buying
Okay.
online.
Is that right?
But unlike other wholesale
What am I
clubs,
looking
online
up?
stores, Boxed has no membership fees.
I'm looking
Delivery
up
is super fast.
free
And look,
bet.
for example,
Free
now we don't have
bet.
to worry about running out.
Can I want cookies next time?
Save 10% and get free shipping on your first order at Box.com. The better way to shop bulk.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
It'll come back in a minute. Free play, but that's not the same thing. That's like you can guess for free. Before 1 p.m. Eastern, that's from October 31st.
We have another key race alert for you this evening as we watch these important governor's races and the actual vote come in. Let's start with Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia. 42% of the estimated vote is in, and Republican Glenn Youngkin remains in the lead. He had 43% now. Glenn Youngkin was 768,647 votes. That's 55.7% of the vote. He is 166,291 votes ahead of Democrat Terry McAuliffe, who has 602,356 votes. He has 43.6%, but it remains a very competitive race, and we are waiting still for more than 1 million votes to come in. To New Jersey, the Garden State. With only 1% of the vote in, incumbent Democratic Governor Phil Murphy has 25,358 votes. That's 70.9% of the vote. He is 15,238 votes ahead.
All these numbers.
Jack Ciattarelli.
Oh my goodness.
120 votes. 28.8%
Says the numbers
of
person.
the vote. But again, that is only with 1% of the vote in. Phil Murphy with a big lead, but still 99% of the vote to go. Let's look at Virginia, because we have more votes in. We have 43% of the vote in. And tell me where the vote's been coming in from.
Well, you start to see a lot of these more rural counties, a lot of the red filling in. We've seen a lot of that vote coming in, but we are getting some other votes. We can come down here to Southeast Virginia. You pop up here in Norfolk, the Democrat turnout vote, about 16% of the vote in. This is obviously one of the key Democratic strongholds. 63% with about 16%. Just want to go back in time and look. 73% Ralph Northam, the Democrat, won 4 years ago. So you're seeing consistently early vote. We have a ways to go, so numbers could change dramatically. Right now, Terry McAuliffe winning where Democrats need to win. The margins below where the Democratic candidate was 4 years ago. Much smaller community over here. You move over toward Portsmouth. 20th, though. You look at decent numbers change here. Here's what you look at, though. If you're looking at this strategically, if you are in the Republican, if you're in either campaign headquarters, if you're the Republicans, you're happy. Down here, Virginia Beach across the bottom. Ralph Northam won all 3 of those counties. 4 years ago, Joe Biden won all of those counties 1 year ago, and so you see down here some strength.
How much of the vote has come in on those?
So let's pop them out and look. Virginia Beach right now, we're up to about 40% of the vote, and again, 58% for the Republican. And if you go back 4 years ago, Ralph Northam won, with 51% close. It was competitive, but it stayed blue. If you come back up to where we are today, you move over here. Chesapeake, where you talked to Joe Johns earlier, again, a lot of votes to be counted still. So it's red now. That doesn't guarantee it stays red. The 16% of the vote, 65% for Youngkin now. If you go back in time, you see how the Republican candidate got 46%. So again, we have a ways to count, so you don't want to jump to conclusions. If you're sitting at a campaign headquarters, though, you're thinking, are we meeting our metrics as we look at the map? Again, in this part of the state, what makes them happy is, I'll use Buchanan again just as an example because they're so close to 50.
It's so stark also.
Yeah, number one, you see a big lead, but it's not just the big lead. Glenn Youngkin needs the raw math, not just the 85%. He needs the raw vote totals in these smaller counties, and the turnout is just higher than it was 4 years ago. So if you're the Republican and you know that as we get later in the night and we come back up here, Fairfax, the giant vote count, we have a lot more votes to count here. We already have 98,000 plus for the Democrat, 34,000, but it's only 32%. Again, you go back in time, remember that, look at that 98. Ralph Northam got 255,000 votes in Fairfax County alone 4 years ago, and we believe turnout is higher tonight in this race than it was 4 years ago. So we have a lot more votes to count, and Republicans have been disappointed many times before in Virginia as the map fills in this way and they build a lead only to see 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., the rest of the votes.
2 a.m.
As their But if you're the Republican campaign, Republicans have not won statewide since 2009. So if you're Glenn Youngkin, you're looking at some of your metrics and you think we're doing okay. That history, though, is what tells you don't rush to conclusions. We have a long way to go.
Punch up Prince William County because I want to go to Borah Sanchez now, who's in
Punch it up.
Prince William County. He has some more raw vote totals for us that I don't think we've gotten yet. Boris?
Yeah, Jake, before the numbers get to John at the Magic Wall, they come here to the headquarters of elections in Prince William County, and I'm looking at raw data right now with 58 precincts reporting. This is day of voting. Terry McAuliffe right now with a 29,437 vote total. Glenn Youngkin, 25,716 votes. roughly a 4,000 vote difference between the two of them. That is day of voting. I also have some numbers for mail-in voting. Remember, Prince William County has been tabulating mail-in votes now for a couple of weeks. So far, the tally shows. Actually, let's go ahead and repeat these numbers really quick. Again, Terry McAuliffe, this is day of voting, 29,437. Glenn Youngkin, 25,716. Day of voting in Prince William County, an area that Terry McAuliffe is counting on to lead him to the governor's mansion, as it helped do in 2013. This is the most diverse county in the Commonwealth. Of course, Youngkin trying to make inroads with moderate voters on education and the economy. Getting back to those mail-in numbers, again, this county has been tabulating them for several weeks already. They count it by 3 different congressional districts. So far, the total, Terry McAuliffe holds an advantage, 6,572 votes versus Glenn Youngkin, 2,127. Again, Terry McAuliffe, 6,572, Youngkin, 2,127, roughly 4,100 votes separating the two candidates there. These numbers likely going to get to the wall very soon. We'll keep you updated as we get more, Jake.
All right, Borah Sanchez in Manassas in Prince William County. Just a reminder of viewers, Prince William County is one of the 4 major Democratic stronghold counties right outside Washington, D.C. It is where the Democrat in any race needs to really build up the score in order to account for and make up for all the Republican votes in most of the rest of the Commonwealth. So here we have roughly 5,000 vote advantage for Terry McAuliffe if you count the early votes and the day of voting in Prince William County.
Right. The question is, how much higher do we go as you count all these votes? I just want to push this aside a little bit, bring this out, just to get you to say why. You mentioned why this matters. I'm going to blank out the numbers a little bit, just pull the county back out again. Again, Washington, D.C., Arlington, Fairfax, Prince William. As the suburbs have shifted over the last 25 years in American politics, we go from blue, used to be competitive, now it's solid blue, used to be a swing county, lately it has been blue. The question is, can Glenn Youngkin cut into the margins? This is where we are right now. We haven't got the numbers Boris just gave us will be tabulated through when the county officially reports them. But this is where you are right now. And again, you go back in time and you're Ralph Northam, you won with 61%. So if you're Terry McAuliffe, you don't need 61%, but you got to win the county. You have to win this county here. If you come back to where we are right now, I just want to look at it. You have to go way back in time, right? So you look at the 2017 race. If you go back to the last time a Republican won this state for president, you go back, George W. Bush carried Prince William County. So this used to be the Republican way to win in Virginia. Yes, the close-in suburbs, Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria, went Democrat. But the outer, the Loudons and the Prince Williams were Republican. That has been the dramatic shift. If you watch it play out, just watch this. Watch this area right here in Northern Virginia. George W. Bush wins because the suburbs were growing, Fairfax and Loudoun, but then you come through it, Obama wins. That was the beginning of the change. It started before Trump, and then the suburban revolt against Trump has put it on steroids. The question is, can Glenn Young overcome that tonight as we continue to keep counting the votes?
Yeah, no, that's where we are. One of the things that's so fascinating about tonight's race is that the Commonwealth of Virginia is so traditionally Democratic. Just in the last few elections, although you and I are old enough to remember when it was a Republican stronghold, but states change. Ohio used to be competitive, and now it's pretty reliably Republican. The votes are coming in, and it is very exciting. It's anyone's race. I wouldn't put money on either one of them right now. Stay with us as CNN's Election Night in America continues.
This is a coup attempt, encouraged by sitting American president. These are the Republicans who dared to stop him. Hear what they have to say about then.
Was he telling him to break the law?
It certainly felt like it.
About now.
Too many people are putting their own political future ahead of doing their duty.
And
what's going to happen next presidential election? The country can't survive torching the Constitution.
Jake Tapper reports Trumping Democracy, Friday at 9.
It's just like very nostalgic. They mean a lot to me because they were part of my growth.
Hey, I can tell you're a fan. Lucky for you, nothing keeps you connected like AT&T 5G. 5G, huh? Is that fast? Oh yeah, it's fast. And is it reliable? Definitely is. What about secure? Oh yeah, it's secure. Love it. How many of those you got? I don't know. You're very good at whatever this is. You flatter me.
It's not complicated. AT&T 5G is fast, reliable, and secure.
Who's on it with Jardians? We're 25 million prescriptions strong.
We're managing type 2 diabetes and heart risk.
We're working up a sweat before coffee and saying no thanks to a Boston cream.
Jardians is a once daily pill that can reduce the risk of cardiovascular death for adults who also have known heart disease. So it can help save your life from a heart attack or stroke. And Jardians lowers A1C. Jardians can cause serious side effects, including dehydration, genital yeast or urinary tract infections, and sudden kidney problems. Ketoacidosis is a serious side effect that may be fatal. A rare but life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Jardians and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this bacterial infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction. And don't take it if you're on dialysis. Taking Jardians with a sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar. Lower A1C and lower risk of a fatal heart attack? We're on it.
We're on it with Jardians.
Ask your doctor about Jardians.
You have the best pizza in town and the worst wait times. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire. Better skin from your body wash? Try Olay body wash with skincare super ingredient collagen. Olay body wash with collagen hydrates to rejuvenate skin surface cells, improving skin 3 times better. From dry and dull to firm and radiant. So I can step into my day feeling my best in my skin. And now, try new Olay Body Lotion, which hydrates for healthier looking skin that improves over time. Olay Body, fearless in my skin.
The new CNN original series, Diana, Sundays at 9 on CNN.
It's never been more important to talk about what matters. You can be part of a movement. To be informed.
If you're going to make jokes about the news, you can get the news right.
And get engaged.
We see you, we care for you, and more help is on the way.
Join the conversation with Citizen by CNN at cnn.com/citizen.
Okay, in Alexandria, Virginia, and this is CNN.
We have another key race alert for you now here in these two competitive races in Virginia and New Jersey. First to Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, where Republican Glenn Youngkin has 910,000 votes, 320. That's a 55.5% of the vote. He is almost 200,000 votes ahead of the Democratic challenger. He has 191,219 vote lead against Democrat Terry McAuliffe. Terry McAuliffe with 719,101 votes, 43.8% of the vote. That is with 51% of the vote in, but that is still a lot of outstanding vote that is yet to be counted. Still, Glenn Youngkin with the lead, 55% to 43% as of right now. In New Jersey, the Garden
I have
State,
to mute you
Democratic
guys for a
Governor Bill
second.
Murphy
is the biggest. A lot of votes still to be counted here. Some of the smaller suburbs here, only 10% in Alexandria. This is not going to be a ton of votes. It's a smaller community, but that more votes from McAuliffe to be counted here. It says we're at close to 70% in Arlington, so more votes, but a modest amount to be counted here. But then you start moving over into Fairfax County. You mentioned earlier Prince William County, smaller population. The largest is here. The fastest growing is in Loudoun, which says they're up to 95%. Youngkin, the other night, predicted he would win Loudoun County. The 10-point gap for him there is better than past Republicans. Is it enough? That's what we'll find out as we count more votes. Just want to come down here again, only at 23% in Prince William County. And you watch the Republican math grow. A couple of things you're watching if you're the Democrats. Number one, what's left in Fairfax. And if it stays at a percentage anywhere close to that, Terry McAuliffe can make up a lot of ground. So that's what you have to watch. With only 37%. Late into the night, we're watching this giant basket of votes. If it stays anywhere close to that percentage split, then McAuliffe's going to make up a lot of votes when the rest of them come in. We don't know that. There's no guarantee of that. So that's what we wait for. That's one thing. And again, I mentioned this earlier. The Republican Youngkin, I just want to see if the percentages have changed at all. And they have not. 20% in Chesapeake, 46% in Virginia Beach. Just want to move over here to Suffolk. 30% here. This area of the state, it used to be reliably Republican. Democrats have done very well in recent cycles, including both Joe Biden and Ralph Northam winning these three counties with more votes to count. But you're looking at the map. Glenn Youngkin has to change the map. Yeah. Presidential history in Virginia, recent governor's history in Virginia.
He has to flip counties. But right now, it's not done. But right now, those southeastern counties, and here again, Chesterfield County, suburbs south of Richmond, he's doing it there as well. The question is the margin big enough in places where there's less population? You can see the building blocks for Youngkin rewriting the map, but the key building blocks are here, especially Fairfax County.
So speaking of Northern Virginia and Fairfax County, punch up Fairfax County, because I'm going to bring in Ryan Nobles right now. He's going to give us an update because he gets the votes before they come on the magic wall. Ryan, what do you have for us?
Yeah, that's right, Jake. And we do have an update now. Some of these precincts are starting to trickle in. 9 of the 247 precincts have reported Terry McAuliffe now at 109,000 votes. Glenn Youngkin just over 42,000 votes. And to John's point, it's really the percentage here that we have to watch in terms of the McAuliffe campaign, because Fairfax County is where they have the most available votes that they can get in all of Virginia. And when that first batch of votes came in, that were all early votes and vote by mail, we saw the McAuliffe campaign with around a 74% of the vote that had come in. This next round of votes that came in, that came from voters that voted today, we saw that number start to trickle down from 74% to just a little more than 71%. That's not a good sign for the McAuliffe campaign as they go on into the night. Now, one optimistic sign for the McAuliffe campaign is that we're not done counting all the early votes. There's somewhere in the range of 25,000 or so early votes that have yet to be fully counted. They had to rescan a group of those early votes. He performed well in that first round of early votes that were already counted, as we said, somewhere in that 74% range. So there is optimism that if you're with the McAuliffe campaign, that you could do well in that group of votes as well. And the other thing we have to keep in mind when we're talking about Fairfax County is that there's still going to be a lot of vote-by-mail ballots that have to be counted, not just tonight, but over the next couple of days. Of course, any ballot that is postmarked by tonight and is received by Friday can still be counted. So if this turns out to be a very, very close race, which it could, as the way it tracks on, those vote-by-mail ballots are going to be very, very important. But the Fairfax County vote now starting to trickle in, not just those early votes, but also the election day votes. And those numbers have to continue to come in big numbers for Terry McAuliffe if Democrats have any hope of winning tonight. Jake.
All right, Ryan Nobles, thanks so much. He's in Fairfax County. John, punch up Arlington County, if you would. Because one thing that I'm curious about is Terry McAuliffe doing very well. He has almost 80% of the vote here. It's almost 70% of the vote. Has the turnout, though, matched what it's been in previous years? In other words, this is, 62,000 people with 68% reporting. What is the turnout in Arlington County been in the past?
That's a key point to look at. Again, it's not a presidential race. If you go back, you go first just to the last governor's race because it clicked up earlier. Again, Ralph Northam wins the county 80%, 68,000 votes, right? So where are we right now? Terry McAuliffe at 49,000 votes. They say 68% is. How high does that number go? That will be one of the things to watch. I told you earlier, we know turnout's going to be higher than 2017. We are seeing higher turnout in the smaller rural counties. Right. We're seeing that. The question is the Democratic turnout also higher? Number one, is the turnout in those counties higher? And then number two, then what are the margins? That's the key math Ryan Nobles was getting at. I know you were waiting for someone in the field to say the count might not be done tonight. We have a ways to go.
Oh, great.
Look, if you're looking at the map, it can be confusing when I go county to county. When we get a small smattering of votes, we write them on the chalkboard. It can be confusing. We just want to show you the reporting in the field. If you're looking at this right now, with 56% in, Youngkin in the lead by more than 207,000 votes. We know this is a much more competitive race in the Commonwealth of Virginia than the Biden-Trump race was. That was 10 points. We know this is a more competitive race than the last governor's race, which that's an 8-point race, a 9-point race when you round up there 4 years ago. Everything on this map now tells us it is a much more competitive race than either the last race for governor or the last race for president. Everything tells us that it's much more competitive. We have way too many questions still to be answered before we can say anything beyond that. Especially, again, we've lived this too many times. This fills in, the Republican takes a big lead, and we wait. And we wait here, and Ryan just made a very key point. How many votes are left? Does Terry McAuliffe keep that big 66, 67, close to 70% margin in Fairfax County? If so, we're going to be at this a while. If not, we'll see.
I mean, one of the other things, when you compare 2021 to 2020 with Biden and Trump, or 2017 with Northam and Gillespie, is Donald Trump was a presence. Right. He was in the White House in both of those races. That was a huge motivator, not just for Republicans and all over the country, but for Democrats. Absolutely. A lot of people worried, a lot of Democrats worried that the Democrats are not as motivated to vote this year. We'll see. We'll see. The numbers are still coming in. It's very competitive. It's anybody's race. The numbers are coming in from New Jersey. The numbers are coming in from Virginia. They're coming in from all over the country. We'll have much more for you after this quick break. It's election night in America. Stay with us.
Metastatic breast cancer is relentless, but I'm relentless every day. And having more days is possible with Verzenio, proven to help you live significantly longer when taken with fulvestrant.
Verzenio plus fulvestrant is for women with HR-positive, HER2-negative metastatic breast cancer that has progressed after hormone therapy. Diarrhea is common, may be severe, or cause dehydration or infection. At the first sign, call your doctor, start an antidiarrheal, and drink fluids. Before taking Verzenio, tell your doctor about any fever, chills, or other signs of infection. Verzenio may cause low white blood cell counts, which may cause serious infection that can lead to death. Life-threatening lung inflammation can occur. Tell your doctor about any new or worsening trouble breathing, cough, or chest pain. Serious liver problems can happen. Symptoms include fatigue, appetite loss, stomach pain, and bleeding or bruising. Blood clots that can lead to death have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have pain or swelling in your arms or legs, shortness of breath, chest pain, and rapid breathing or heart rate, or if you are nursing, pregnant, or plan to be.
Every day matters, and I want more of them.
Ask your doctor about everyday Verzenio.
CNN International is open to the world.
I'm Christiana Manpour in Helsinki, Finland. I'm Becky Anderson in Abu Dhabi.
I'm here in a remote part of southern India.
From the New York Stock Exchange, Port Elizabeth,
Birmingham,
Puerto Rico, Hong Kong, London,
Damascus,
Tokyo, Moscow,
Rome,
Nairobi.
Go international, anytime, anywhere, from selected devices. Stream it live now.
exhausted before we've even started.
CNN Go International.
Now here's the news.
Just a matter of time. This will blow your mind.
doctor?
Negative. I just watch a ton of medical dramas on Sling TV. Good news, her kidneys are beating.
Sling has live sports, news, and entertainment. It's the live TV you love and on demand for just $35 a month.
I need tweezers, rubbing alcohol, and a Western omelet.
With Sling, you're confident you get the best of live TV.
You're gonna be fine.
Maybe too confident. Get your first month now for only $10. Sling.
As a divided nation faces real challenges, we seek to answer questions coming from a country at a crossroads. What's next? Where do we go from here? And how do we get there? Citizen by CNN. Thursday. Register at cnn.com/citizen.
The new CNN original series, Diana, Sundays at 9 on CNN.
We have another key race alert for you now, and let's look at the board here. In Virginia, the governor's race, Republican Glenn Youngkin has an almost 200,000 vote lead. There is 58% of the vote in. Now 59% of the vote in. We just got some more votes. Glenn Youngkin with 1,026,074 votes. That is 54.8% of the vote. He is 191,843 votes ahead of Democrat Terry McAuliffe, who has 834,231 votes. That is 44.5% of the vote. As of right now, with 59% of the vote in, Glenn Youngkin has a 10 percentage point lead over Democrat Terry McAuliffe. In New Jersey, with 6% of the vote in, Democratic incumbent Governor Phil Murphy has 110,498 votes. That is 66.3% of the vote. He is about 55,829 votes ahead of Republican Jack Ciattarelli, who has 54,669 votes, 32.8% of the vote. But again, that is only 6% of the vote reported. Let us now go to Sarah Murray, who is in Richmond, Virginia, at election headquarters, who can give us an update on the status of the votes coming in. Sarah.
That's right. We talked to Chris Piper. He's the commissioner of the Virginia Department of Elections. He wouldn't put a number on where the turnout stands, but he did say there is heavy turnout. One of the hiccups he said they were dealing with today, election officials across the state, were ballot shortages. He said about half a dozen counties, places like Appomattox, Chesterfield counties, experienced ballot shortages. They had to get additional ballots brought in in order to ensure that everyone there was able to vote. He did say overall this is a day that has gone very smoothly. He reiterated to voters, this should make you all trust the process. These are secure systems. Additional ballots were brought in. People were able to vote. People should feel confident that they were able to cast their ballot, that they were able to vote. A very important message, I think, on Election Day, Jake.
All right, Sarah Murray, thank you so much. New York City polls close in 18 minutes, and we will bring you the results live. For that, we're going to squeeze in another quick break. We'll be right back when Election Night in America continues. Stay with us.
It's on a commercial break. And it has no sound. If I got 371 views, but only 3 in the last hour, should I end this stream? Because looks like these election results for Virginia are going to go on for hours. Why is it doing that? Oh, probably because I need to find the new charging cords. I'm getting really tired, and if they're saying that they might not know any results till 2 in the morning, that's 11 p.m. here. Yes, Woof Woof says if I'm losing my pleasing personality that I might have to end this stream.
Jake Tapper reports Trumping Democracy and American Coup, Friday at 9.
We can now make projection in one of the two special congressional races in Ohio today. CNN projects that Democrat Shontel Brown has been elected to Congress in Ohio's 11th district, holding on to the seat for Democrats. She defeats Republican Laverne Gore in the district, which stretches from Cleveland to Akron. That leaves Democrats with a narrow majority in the U.S. House of Representatives, holding 221 seats to 212 for Republicans. 2 seats are still up for grabs. There's another one in Ohio and another one in Florida, where a special primary is being held. We're awaiting results of those two. We now have a key race alert for you. Now we're looking at the governor's races in Virginia and New Jersey. Let's look at the numbers. With 61% of the estimated vote in from Virginia, Republican Glenn Youngkin remains in the lead. He has 1,061,140 votes. That's 54.6% of the vote. He is 192,385 votes ahead of Democrat Terry McAuliffe, who has 868,755 votes. That is 44.7% of the vote. Glenn Youngkin right now, with many votes remaining to be counted, with roughly a 10 percentage vote lead, almost 200,000 votes ahead as of this hour. Let's go to New Jersey now. With 6% of the vote in, incumbent Democratic Governor Phil Murphy has 112,300 votes. That's 64.4% of the vote. He is 51,768 votes ahead of Republican Jack Ciattarelli, who has 65,270 votes. That's 35.4% of the vote. And we just got another percentage point with Phil Murphy remaining in the lead. And tell us where the votes are coming in from in the Garden State.
A lot of votes still to be counted, but Democrats who right now have a serious case of jitters when it comes to Virginia are feeling more confident when it comes to blue New Jersey. You mentioned Governor Murphy seeking to be reelected, 63% of the vote to 36% of the vote. We have a lot of votes still to come, but if you look at Newark, Essex County, Newark, largest urban area right there, the 3rd largest county in the state, running it up as a Democrat has to do in the urban area, but again, only 7% of the vote, but again, filling in as the governor would like. You move up here you're starting to move into the New York suburbs and around. As you come up, again, running it up, you have someone at your table who has a long life history in Bergen County. You can ask her about this when you get over there. Still no votes from there. But essentially, you look at New York City here and the suburbs right up here. This is where this race is normally won, a lot of big population centers. But if you come down here, Mercer County is Trenton, the suburbs around it. Again, only 7%, but the early vote coming in the way Governor Murphy would like it to. As you look up, again, Camden, you're familiar from Philadelphia. Camden, the suburbs here, 74% for the governor. Just to go back in time, we're looking at 25% there. We got 67% here 4 years ago. So if you were looking to see if there would be a night of Democratic panic, meaning losing 2 governorships, it appears. Only at 7%. Let's be careful.
What's the red county there?
Right here, you come over here, Ocean County. I believe that was also red. Yes, this is a reliably Republican county out here. See, Kim Giordano 4 years ago, 62% of the vote. It's about a little shy of that, Jack Chitterelli, as it fills in. So the map is filling in the population centers for Democrats early on, still at 7%, and we'll watch it. But this one is filling in a way that early on, anyway, Democrats can be much more confident than what they're seeing here. Again, a long way to go still here, but when you see Glenn Youngkin, 261% of the vote counted. Now, Ryan Nobles mentioned this, Jay, quickly earlier. As more votes coming in Fairfax, what happens to Terry McAuliffe's percentage? He was above 70 early on, now down to 67%. Still a lot more votes to come in here. But if you're looking at the trend lines in this map, if you're in the Youngkin campaign, you're a lot happier than if you're in McAuliffe headquarters right now when you pull that out.
Yeah, I mean, that's an 80,000 vote lead from McAuliffe. If you double it, that's only 80,000, and Glenn Youngkin is right now 201,000 votes ahead of Terry McAuliffe. That's not going to be enough in that county alone. We're heading into another critical hour of election results coming up. Polling places are about to close in New York City, where voters are choosing a new mayor. Much more of our coverage right after this. Stay with us.
Right now is a great time to buy a new home. So what can give you a competitive edge? Rocket can. A verified approval from Rocket Mortgage helps your offer stand out. Rocket Technology provides a rock-solid verification of your income, assets, and credit, giving sellers greater confidence in you and your offer. So when you need the speed, ease, and confidence to buy the home that's right for you, Rocket can. Visit rocketmortgage.com or call us today. Rocket.
Now here's the news.
Just a matter of time. This will blow your mind. Boom.
So many questions about what is the federal government doing. Do you get the anger that is out here?
How concerned are you about the front line?
You don't believe that there's a racial divide here?
Looking back, as president, did you tell the story of race in America enough? Gosh, all the places I've been and all the things I've seen, all the people I've talked to, I carry with me. They're part of what I do every night right here, holding the powerful accountable, keeping them honest.
AC 360, weeknights at 8, only on CNN.
Back to your check. Yeah.
It's okay, everyone. I got this.
Are you a doctor?
Negative. I just watch a ton of medical dramas on Sling TV. Good news, her kidneys are beating.
Sling has live sports, news, and entertainment. It's the live TV you love and on demand for just $35 a month.
I need tweezers, rubbing alcohol, and a Western omelet.
With Sling, you're confident you get the best of live TV.
You're gonna be fine.
Maybe too confident. Get your first month now for only $10. Sling.
Good mood, good food. HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com and use code VOD14 for up to 14 free meals.
When we started our business, we were paying like an arm and a leg for the postage. I remember setting up Ship Station. I think it was just like 1 or 2 clicks. Everything was up and running. I was printing out labels and saving money.
Ship Station saves us so much time. It makes it really easy and seamless. Pick an order, print everything you need.
Why does it say this session is 54 minutes if I turn this on at 4 o'clock?
Like we're cut in half, just like that.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers.
I turned this on because Twitch didn't turn on.
Get 2 months free.
This holiday, make giving the inspiration for saving. From tossing out the holiday trash to cleaning up your festive feast, use Greenlight to turn savings goals into life goals. Invest in your best investment. Greenlight.
Depression can be a really tough thing to go through. Fortunately, people always have a lot of ideas how to help you through.
You just gotta snap out of it.
You have so much to be happy for. Fake it till it feels normal.
Cheer up.
What's all in your head?
It's because you're a Leo. Think about all the people that have it worse than you.
Shut up. That's what you want to say to people that say that.
This is CNN. More people get their news from CNN than any other news source.
Yes, Woof Woof. Woof Woof says that I should end this broadcast because I'm not in a good mood.
And we have a key race alert for you at this hour. Let's look at the board right now. In Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, Republican Glenn Youngkin has 1,102,462 votes. That is 54.6% of the vote. He is more than 200,000 votes ahead of the Democrat, 200,092 votes to be precise. Democrat Terry McAuliffe has 902,370 votes. That is 44.7% of the vote. That is with 63% of the estimated vote in. Republican Glenn Youngkin retaining his very healthy lead over Democrat Terry McAuliffe. In New Jersey, the Garden State, Democratic incumbent Governor Phil Murphy, with 10% of the vote in, has 174,342 votes. That's 60.5% of the vote. He is 62,954 votes ahead of his Republican challenger, Jack Ciattarelli, who has 111,388 votes, 38.7% of the vote. But again, we are still expecting 90% of the vote of that from that race to come in. Voting is about to end in New York City in the showcase mayor's race this evening. Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams is highly favored to hold on to the mayor's office for Democrats. He faces Republican Curtis Sliwa, best known as founder of the anti-crime group, the Guardian Angels. The winner of that race will replace Democratic Mayor Bill de Blasio. We are awaiting votes from quite a few big U.S. cities that are choosing mayors tonight. One of them is Minneapolis. That city is also deciding the future of the Minneapolis police force in the aftermath.
Why is it doing that?
Since George Floyd's death. Let's check in with our correspondents right now. First, let's go to Athena Jones in New York at the headquarters of Democratic mayoral candidate Eric Adams. Athena, how are things where you are?
Hi, Jake. Well, polls are just about to close here. You can already see this venue beginning to fill up. There is certainly a celebratory atmosphere. But if you hear from Eric Adams or talk to people on his campaign, they'll say, look, they're running through the tape. He just sent a text a few minutes ago saying, if you're in line by 9, you can vote. But as you mentioned, Adams is heavily favored to win in this deep blue city where registered Democrats outnumber registered Republicans by almost 7-1. Eric Adams, the real contest here was among the Democrats in the primary. He beat out a crowded primary field by putting together a coalition of working class voters, union voters, voters of color, particularly voters in the outer boroughs. He also spent a good deal of his time talking about public safety. You often heard Eric Adams say public safety is a prerequisite to prosperity. So that focus on fighting crime at a time of rising crime is also something that people believe got him over the finish line. Jake?
All right, Athena Jones in New York, New York. Let's go to Omar Jimenez now, who's covering the vote in Minneapolis, Minnesota, including the fascinating, controversial ballot measure there to replace the police department with a whole new reimagining of public safety, the Department of Public Safety. Omar, how's it looking there? What's going on?
Yeah, Jake, so we've got polls closing in just a few minutes here in Minneapolis, and we will know the answers to those ballot questions first when it comes to the results that are coming in. We expect them, and at least the city clerk here says they expect those full results to come in just a matter of 2 hours at this point. And one thing to watch for in this is it's going to take more than a simple majority, more than the 50% plus one person for this to pass. Because it's a charter amendment, it's going to take 51%. And the reason that's crucial is because this was polling right around 50%, and we could be in a scenario where technically a majority of people vote yes on this, 50.6%, let's say, and it doesn't pass. And so those are the dynamics that we're going to be watching for as this moves forward. And again, while it is to incorporate this police department into a public safety department, it doesn't quite eliminate all officers. No one's waking up tomorrow with no police officers if this passes. But again, so many people are looking at this as setting the table for the future of public safety here in Minneapolis.
Very interesting. Omar Jimenez, thank you so much. A quick overview, John. Where are we in Virginia?
We are with the Republican candidate just shy of a 200,000 vote lead. It was above 200,000 a short time ago. So if you're a Democrat, you're saying, aha, we can come back late. I will tell you, yes, that's mathematically possible. About 1 million more votes to count. The question is, where can you find them? One of the places Democrats will look at is Richmond City, the 10th largest county in the state. Only 2% of the vote in. Terry McAuliffe getting big numbers there. But Jake, there's a lot of votes here for Terry McAuliffe. The question is it enough? And then you move up to Fairfax County in Northern Virginia. We've talked about it a lot all night, up to 53% right now. McAuliffe's percentage at 67%. That looks great. He needs a huge more votes as the rest of Fairfax County comes in. The math at the moment looks bleak, but a lot of votes to count still.
All right, John King, thank you so much. Voting is about to end in New York, where the next mayor of America's biggest city is being decided tonight. Who will replace Bill de Blasio? Let's get a key race alert now. The polls disclosed that it is too early to call the New York mayor's race between Democrat Eric Adams and Republican Curtis Sliwa. We are awaiting the first votes in this high-profile race. We will bring that to you as soon as they come in. John King, I'm coming right back to you at the magic wall. You want to go back to Virginia?
Let's do it.
So here's a question for you. Let's go to Fairfax County for a second.
Okay, here we go.
Fairfax County. Terry McAuliffe is up. But there's about 220,000 votes cast. That means about 440,000 total have been cast. The big question right now for a lot of Democrats is, did Democrats vote? Did they turn out to vote? Are they depressed because the Democrats on Capitol Hill have not been able to get their legislation through, because prices are high, because gas prices are through the roof, because of inflation, because they're disappointed, whatever? Are they depressed? So if we are estimating about 440,000 people voted in Fairfax County this year, how many voted last year or in 2017?
Well, let's go back to the governor's race, because that's a better comparison there. If you look at 255,000 for the winner, so we're not quite there. We expect turnout to be higher, but you're raising a key point. We expect turnout to be higher across the state.
Right.
The question is it by proportionally, is it higher, is it much higher in some of the rural areas? I can show you a few of those in a minute. So you're looking at 255,000 votes here for the winner.
So more people did turn out. More people did turn out this year in Fairfax County than they did.
It's on track to. It is on track to. Okay. It's on track to have more. And the question is, it's on track to have more. And then you see that 68% margin if you round up. The question is, can McAuliffe hold it? Because that would be essentially exactly what happened 4 years ago. And then the question becomes, if it's exactly what happened 4 years ago, is it good enough? Because the rest of the state is not going the same way for Terry McAuliffe. So let's come back to 2021. Let's pull it out. Let me show you what I mean. Just one example. I just want to pop down here. You look at these smaller counties and you think, well, this doesn't matter. Every vote matters in a close race. So you're in White County here, right? You see the 94-42. We're almost fully counted there, right? 82% of the vote. If you go back in time, Ed Gillespie, 60. So it's 3,000 more votes essentially than 4 years ago for the Republican candidate. 3,000 votes there, 1,000 votes there, 800 votes there. It just helps. It takes a lot to offset the giants there. So you can't be just that. That is not going to be enough to offset Fairfax County. But it helps when you're also doing this. When you come back to 2021, if you were watching in 2017, this was blue. Now it is red. This is the suburbs, Chesterfield County, south of Richmond. 20 years ago, reliably Republican. The last 10 years, blue, Glenn Youngkin, with half the vote counted, with a 10-point margin in the suburbs to the south. Margins matter. Go back in the race 4 years ago, very close, but the Democrat won, right? Very close, but the Democrat won. Right now, not as close, and the Republican leading a ways to go in Rico County, right? Again, the suburbs to the north of Richmond. Right now, McAuliffe at 54, Youngkin at 45. If you round up, if you go back before, more of a margin.
Look at that.
The margins matter. Glenn Youngkin is making up votes in places like this compared to 4 years ago. And so if the margins in the traditionally blue counties are smaller, and then you are running it up in the red counties, you're putting yourself in play. And one more place I'm going to keep mentioning, because this right now, it's huge. If you look down here, this is the race 4 years ago. It's all blue. This is the presidential race in 2020. You got to click another button to get to presidential. It's all blue. And so Glenn Youngkin had to flip some counties to change the map. There's no guarantee they will end up this way. We're still counting votes in some of these places. Let me just take you there. Virginia Beach, half of the vote in.
But he's winning it handily.
Chesapeake.
So anecdotally, a Republican official told me this morning that keep an eye out for the Virginia Beach area, he said, because it took a little longer, but the school issue in this Virginia governor's race, the education issue, and how much parental input there can be in schools was a big issue, combined with a lot of other divisive social issues having to do with education. But he said, keep an eye on the Virginia Beach area because the issue caught on there later than it did in Northern Virginia.
That's an excellent point to make. And also, again, you got to be careful not to overgeneralize. But where are we? Right? This is the North Carolina border. You're moving into the Northern Virginia suburbs, Washington, D.C. It is more liberal. It is more traditionally Democratic. This has been Democrat. Of late, but this has a Republican pedigree in more recent times than up here in Northern Virginia as well. So you mentioned the school issue could catch on. A Republican candidate catching on down here is not as big a surprise as a Republican candidate if Glenn Youngkin were turning some of these counties. But even still, if you come up here again, this is your Washington suburbs, exurban areas, moving out now to where it gets more rural.
Upper County, look at that.
Yeah, look at that, 72% of the vote. And again, at Gillespie, margins matter. You're overperforming the last Republican candidate while the Democratic candidate is underperforming the last Democratic candidate.
And one of the things that's so interesting, people who are not from the Washington, D.C. or Virginia area, or people who are not political junkies, Ed Gillespie, go back to the 2017 map if you would for 1 second. So Ed Gillespie, who lost in a round, right? Ed Gillespie ran a race that Republicans worried was going to bring out the vote in this part of Virginia, Southern Virginia, Central Virginia, and alienate the suburbs. Remember his last few ads, as I recall, and this is just a shaky memory of a middle-aged man, his last few ads were about MS-13 and the threat of gangs potentially racially incendiary in the views of some voters, turning off people in the Northern Virginia suburbs. So the challenge for Ed Gillespie's successor, Glenn Youngkin, was how do you get these people while not alienating those people in the Northern Virginia suburbs? And go back to Henrico County.
Henrico County here, this is 2017.
So this is 2017.
61% of the vote to 38% for the Republican. And you come back here, margins matter. Every vote matters. Margins matter in these counties. So Glenn Youngkin, we talked earlier, he's not going to win all of the suburbs, but he's more competitive in the suburbs.
But that's for the growth. He has been as a candidate more agile. He has been as a candidate more deft. He has been able to get these people while not alienating the suburbanites in Northern Virginia and then in the Virginia Beach area. In fact, it's early yet, but he's competing very, very well in this Virginia Beach suburbs.
Ed Gillespie did not want Trump to come to Virginia. They had a foul relationship. Glenn Youngkin did not want Trump to come to Virginia. Somehow, he has managed to be repeatedly endorsed by Trump. Trump has told his voters, flood the polls. Donald Trump telling his voters, flood the polls. The Donald Trump who questions the election system all the time, telling his voters to flood the polls. Indications are, is it all Trump or is it just Youngkin's appeal? We could argue that for days. But what is happening down here tonight is very strong, exceeding 2017 Republican turnout. So you have,
he's not just holding Trump votes, he's winning these new voters.
He's winning the vote, certainly compared to the Republican candidate for governor 4 years ago. Glenn Youngkin is doing fantastic down there. And again, you talk about margins matter. Just to come in here, you mentioned, let's start with 2017 to see the difference. If you come in here, Loudoun County, Ed Gillespie, 40% of the vote. 45% of the vote in a place where there are a lot of people. So that's thousands of votes. When you go from 40 to 45, you're doing thousands of votes. Even in Fairfax County right now, We're missing the votes right now. This one looks more like 4 years ago. If you look at it there, 31% 4 years ago to 32% right now. This one looks a lot more like 4 years ago. So if Fairfax, which is the biggest basket of Democratic votes up here, number one, the 133 counties, 14% of the statewide vote. If Democrats are holding their own here, what happened? Well, in a lot of other places that matter, Glenn Youngkin is overperforming the Republican candidate from 4 years ago. Again, up to 2/3 of the vote. He's back above 200,000. Yeah. You're starting to say that. So we're just shy of 1 million more votes to come in. Is it mathematically possible? Yes. You talked earlier about that inside straight flush. Yeah. Terry McAuliffe is, praying for a good dealer.
Show me my beloved Spotsylvania County, if we could.
Where are we? That is down here. Right? Yes, it is.
It's okay. Spotsylvania County. So Glenn Youngkin has 65% of the votes, and Terry McAuliffe's 37.3% of the vote. How did Gillespie do 4 years ago?
So you go back in time, 56. So look again. Yeah. The margins and turnout. Right? We focus on margins a lot. It's not just the percentages. It's raw math matters in politics. In the end, we say this is complicated so we can keep our jobs. In the end, it's the simple arithmetic we learned. Right? You add that up. 20,000 votes for Ed Gillespie there 4 years ago. You come up here now, but with more votes to be counted, Glenn Youngkin is already there.
He's going to exceed it.
Yeah, he's already at the 20,000 with another, third of the vote yet to be counted. So he is surpassing Republican turnout from the governor's race 4 years ago in all of the red places, running it up where he has to, and being more competitive in the blue area.
And I have to say, as somebody who drives around that part of the state on occasion, you would see Youngkin signs everywhere. You say that to somebody, a Democratic senator, I'm seeing Youngkin signs everywhere. They would say, signs don't vote. Maybe not. I mean, definitely not. But by the same token, they can be a measure of enthusiasm.
They can be a measure of enthusiasm. And again, if you think of the history of this state, 1 year ago, Joe Biden plus 10. 4 years ago, and this, Ralph Northam plus 8 or plus 9, depending on how you want to round up there. You have to go back to 2009. The last time the Democrats won statewide. We're focusing on this race right now.
Last time Republicans
won statewide was back in 2009, which foreshadowed 2010, which was a miserable midterm year for the Democrats. That will be the fear if this holds up. We have to say yes. We're still counting votes as they come in, but we haven't looked at them yet tonight. But the Republican candidates for Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General are also leading in Virginia at the moment, pretty much by the same margins.
Is that right?
Yes. And so if you look at them, if you just look through, here's the Lieutenant Governor's race, 54-45, and here's the Attorney General race, 54-45.
Let's just explain for 1 second why that's important, and then we'll get back. We have to take a quick break. But that is one of the things that Democrats said is keep an eye on all three of the races. If Terry McAuliffe loses, but the Democratic candidates for Attorney General, this is the incumbent, by the way, the Attorney General and Lieutenant Governor, who is elected on a separate ticket, if they do poorly too, this is more significant for Democrats. But if it's just Terry McAuliffe that does poorly and the other two Democrats do well, it might just be candidate specific. So this, again, the votes are still coming in, but reading the tea leaves, this is something that is a message to the Democratic Party in a state that Commonwealth that Joe Biden won by 10 points 1 year ago. It's still too early to call the race, of course, in Virginia or New Jersey or the New York City mayor's race. When will we be able to make those projections? Stay right here to find out. We're going to squeeze in a quick break. Stay with us. The sounds of the great.
Okay, I'm going to end this broadcast. Thank you for listening.